Neuron Live. I'm Corey Knowles. This is Grant Harvey, and we're really excited you're here today. We had a bunch of people lined up ready before we got started,
That's
and
awesome.
we're really excited about today. This is a thing that Grant and I spend a lot of time with our head really, really deep in the AI weeds, like a
Yeah.
lot of time, probably an unhealthy amount of time. But, but
Facts.
with with that said, Grant brought this idea up a couple of weeks ago that we needed to do this, and I was like, "Yeah, we do." We wanted to make sure that while yes, we're covering what's happening and some of the flashier tools, it's also just as important to make sure that we're helping to make AI more accessible to people who are just starting out, just
Hmm.
learning, and that's what we're here to do today. I'm going to drop a poll in just a minute to ask to get a feel for like the general level of AI skill of everyone who's here.
Hmm.
And
Answer
hold on.
honestly, please.
Yes. Yeah, answer honestly. It's okay. It is anonymous. Also, if anyone has questions they want to ask today that you feel like you might be embarrassed to ask, like you think it's dumb that I don't know this or something. First off, no dumb questions. Second off, feel free to email us at team@the Neuron Daily, and we'll address your question anonymously. I want to make sure that if you have a question, you leave with it answered today. Ooh, what kind of options we want, Grant? Brand new. Uh,
Yeah. Let's do brand new. Never touch ChatGPT. Let's do. I have used ChatGPT before, but I don't understand it. Let's do. I've used apps before, but I want to level up my ability. And maybe let's do. I want to learn the 5-step framework. Let's do it that way.
hang on one second. That was
Welcome,
way
Donna.
faster
You're in a
than
good place.
I got through a couple first here already before we got to your list. I had brand new. I used it a little. I'm pretty comfortable.
Set up my first OpenClaw agent, but want to use more AI more
Ooh,
professionally in clinical AI. Okay, cool, cool.
excellent,
We'll
excellent.
that might be a little more advanced than we're going to go today, but we will cover I think a lot of ways to set up the systems that will help you when you're using AI in that sort of scenario. So I think we'll be able to help you generally. Yeah. Let's see. Von Ray, will this be relevant to people who are forced to use Copilot for work and don't have access to ChatGPT or Claude? Okay, yes, kind of.
Yes,
Yes, it will.
uh, and there's a lot I can say to Copilot as well.
Yeah.
I visited yesterday with oh, what's his title? He's on their product team that's dealt with the co-work integration,
Mhm.
and what they're doing is really the way to think of what Microsoft is doing with Copilot is that what they're doing is taking the flashy tools that people like Grant and I have been using for quite a while
Mhm.
and packaging them up in a way that can be accessible to the masses. Because the fact is, we're still at a time in this world when most people, there's a great chart on this that shows it in little squares. Have you seen that, Grant? That shows like the power users, this one tiny square in the corner.
Yeah.
People who use it some are this little half of this first strip, and it's
Yeah.
kind of an effort to take it to the masses.
I would say
And
also with Copilot, they're trying to make it usable inside the existing Microsoft suite.
yeah,
So that they're trying to integrate it with everything else that they do, which is pretty complicated. So that's why it doesn't always work as well as the new stuff that's built,
yeah,
agent native,
and also why
so
their rollouts are a little slower because trying to work it
yeah.
into a platform that has 30-year-old that's built on 30-year-old code
Yeah.
comes with a number of DMs. But what I can tell you is like with Copilot added co-work this last week to their Frontier program. So the way they
Hmm.
roll these out for context is they start with like a dozen people, 20 people, and they let them try it, see how they use it, and then they go back and reevaluate, move some things around. Then they put it into Frontier. Frontier is their like beta program. You can request access to it. And that's where you get access to some of these other things as well. Uh, so with Frontier, all of this stuff comes out there first, and it's meant to be a chance for them to deal with some of the headaches and problems before they push it out to the billions of people across the Microsoft interface. So it makes a lot of sense, but as a result, it winds up a little behind the times at the moment
Yeah.
sometimes. Uh,
So let's
but yeah, we'll
before
talk
we
about
get
that in a
to
bit. Let's pass over to
well,
Grant. Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll get into it. I saw some other really cool use cases in here. People don't know what to subscribe to. There's some people who are researchers. Some people have Claude set up on their own Mac Mini. That's great. Perplexity subscription. That's a good question. We can answer that. But before we get distracted, we're trying to focus on the very basics to start us off here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just walk through very briefly what we're going to cover, in addition to all of the questions. So
Yeah.
before I begin, I'm going to open my screen here. And I'm going to share this document. So this is what Corey and I plan to cover today. So we're going to cover, we got our opening. We're going to talk about the 5-level AI Proficiency Stack, which we wrote a blog about. And I think this is going to be really helpful for people to understand like how to go from where you are now to what the majority of people who are using these tools effectively, who aren't, let's say, like frontier engineers, are doing to use these tools to the maximum capability, but also
Yeah.
absolute beginner stuff. So I use ChatGPT, but I know I'm not getting the most out of it, or even just what is ChatGPT? We're going to talk about that very, very basic.
Yeah.
So we'll cover the absolute basics. We'll cover projects versus prompting and which one you should start with. And then we'll go through the 5 levels. So projects, prompting, skills, automations, and agents. And then we'll do more of a Q&A break. And then we'll talk, if we have time, which we suspect we will, which tools are best for what. And then if we have time, we'll get into some of this other stuff. But probably we'll spend most of the time talking about these core
Yep.
concepts, and then we'll get into everything from there. So I'm going to stop sharing my
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, and we'll try to get to questions as we go too. We absolutely have someone helping us manage those because it's a lot. So we'll get them as we go, and we're here till we're done.
Yep.
Ideally a couple hours. Also, know if you have to leave, if you're not available here for the whole time, please know that this will be available as an archive when we're done. So you can come back to it if you have to. First off, though, if you would, please take just a second and subscribe to the channel because we'd love to have you back here for more of these. We're going to do a lot of stuff like this moving forward, in
Yep.
addition to the regular interviews we have, all of those things. Anything else housekeeping wise, Grant, before we dive in?
Yes, we're launching a robotics newsletter. Let me
Oh,
grab
yeah.
the form for that. So if anyone's into robots,
Yeah.
let me
We've
let me
got
share
a
this.
form for that as well. It's coming pretty soon. I don't know the date off the top of my head.
It'll be in a couple weeks, but yeah, you can sign up for early access right there. Basically, if AI stuff is interesting to you, you just think it's fun to learn
Yeah.
about this stuff. If you want to keep track of how robot progress is going and how soon they'll be able to replace your entire physical body,
Yeah.
this will be the newsletter for you. So definitely check that out.
Excellent.
Cool.
Excellent.
So Corey, do you want to start with the absolute basics and open up your ChatGPT
Yeah.
and just introduce people to it?
Let me. I'll do that. I will pull
Okay,
up my Chat GPT here.
great.
Mine is going to be a little crazier than yours because I work our team account and a bunch of other things as well. Give me just a moment. I should have had that
That's
done
fine.
already, right?
So
Okay,
I
there
just
we
want
go.
to address a
All
couple comments
right.
while you're pulling it up. So we've got a couple questions before migrating off OpenAI. Is it best to organize all your chats clearly into projects? That's actually a good question. I think in general, when you export all of your chats, it's a very messy document, and you'll probably want to use whatever AI you're transitioning into to help you organize that. So I don't know if projects help you in that way. I've actually
Yeah.
never done it that way before, but I'll look into that and I'll write something up on that, Lexi. Corey, let me know when you're ready.
Cool.
I'm nervous
Yeah,
about
and it
creating.
looks like
Go ahead.
My connection is doing awful with this open too, isn't it?
No, it's fine.
Do I sound okay? Okay,
Yes.
cool. All right. Well, I'm sure most of you know this by now, and if you don't, you've probably been under a rock, and that's okay. This is ChatGPT. It's a very simple interface. I'm not going to bore us too much with the other thing, with all of the nitpickies right here, but I just want to show you that you set up an account. It can be free. It can be $20. It can be $200, depending on your application. I recommend starting at $20. The truth is, the difference in the free account and the $20 account is huge. The $200 account is for professionals who need to be using it all day. They need higher limits. They need all of that kind of stuff. So, you'll come in and this is what you'll see. You'll probably see this open, but it'll be empty. And this is projects, previous conversations, and things like that. You'll come right over here. I like to keep my sidebar closed just because it keeps it cleaner. And you'll ask it a question like, hey, what's the best EV on the market right now for a new driver? And it's going to go and it's going to do the thing. And it'll come back in just a moment. That was a prompt. In a minute, it's going to come back. It's going to give us an answer. It's reasoning right now. So it's checking options with an eye toward what matters. So that's the very, very basic. I'm not going to get too hung up here. I just wanted to show you, for anyone who doesn't know that. You can also talk to it. If you hit right here, you can hit dictate and say, "Hey, I've been seeing these new Lucid EVs. Tell me about those." And you can stop and hit send, and it will translate it to text and send it right over. Super easy. You have different options for how much you want it to think, some of which are things we'll get into a little bit later. There we go. And different tools you can connect to it. You can upload pictures and ask it questions about them. Uh, you got web search, you've got all their other tools, you've got their app store, just all of the basics right here. And it comes back and it recommends the Hyundai Kona Electric. It's the sweet spot, small enough to park easily, easy to drive. Those are things that matter for a new driver. So it's able to not just tell you what are the best EVs right now, it's telling you what's the best EV for your situation. And you could go more in depth. Like one of the keys when it comes to prompting, and we're going to talk about this, is that right now I could have just said, what's the best EV on the market? It could have been all I said, and it would have given me a good answer. But I said for a new driver, which is adding a qualifier on there. But I could have also said, what's the best EV on the market right now for a new driver in a rural community of 25,000, where it has an idea of like, how far is it going to have to go to charge? How long of a range do you need? It's able to take all that in and come up with all these much better, much more thorough answers.
Uh-huh.
Up
So
here, you
okay,
see, yeah, go ahead.
let's just very quickly recap what you did. So you went to chat.com. You went to what below is the context window or the chat window.
Yep.
You typed in this prompt, and you gave it very specific information about what you were looking to find. So
Yeah.
one difference between a chatbot and Google is that Google, you're usually using keywords to try and get a web page that's relevant to what you're searching for, or key phrases like questions. With ChatGPT, the more context that you give it, and the more specific you are, and the more you write full sentences, it actually will give you a much better response.
Yeah, where search will start to struggle the more you put there. Often,
Yep.
unless you're really good at the fancy search.
Yeah.
I'm
But that
calling it
takes,
that.
you have to navigate to submenus to do that. It's much easier to just talk out loud and ask for what you want.
So what we're going to do next year, really quick, is the idea of iteration. Iteration is when you get a response and you're like, I like that, but maybe that's not what I need. So I've asked it about the Lucid here, and what we're going to say is, tell me about those. Also, we live in a mid-size rural city of about 25,000 people. 1,000 people, and see what it tells us is different there, because it might come back. It's going to suddenly start taking into account range. It's going to take into account availability of chargers and types of chargers. So, like if a car has a very specific charger it needs, it might be that you would be fine with one type of EV, but you might not be okay with this one with this super specific charger. But that's really kind of the basics of this. But what we're going to see is it's going to come back with a response that's much more tailored to me after getting these additional details too. So Lucid makes very impressive EVs, but they're aimed for the luxury buyer than the first EV shopper. That's fair.
It's true. Yeah,
They're
if anyone
so
knows
awesome
Lucid.
though.
Yeah.
I asked because I want one. There are two Lucids to know right now. The Lucid Air. What's great about it in a rural, smaller city? Here's what you don't get from search. Now, I'm not saying use this as search. It's significantly better, but I use it instead of it. Like I haven't used Google search probably this week. And I, as a writer for years, used to use it probably 40, 50 times a day. So yeah, what's great about Lucid? The long range is a real advantage. It's built for fewer charging stops. That matters in a small town. If most of your driving starts and ends at home, this can make rural ownership much easier than shorter range vehicles. So, that's good news. Here's what gives it pause. Like it's a relatively niche brand. If you need service, yeah, that's fair. Okay, so I'm going to back out of this now, and we're going to take a quick peek over here. I'm going to show you the model selector. There are a variety of models you can use. They've kept this much more simple than it used to be. Instant is what you would use probably most of the time. At least that's what they would tell you. Frankly, I tend to keep it on thinking. Pro is probably not available in the $20 account if I'm not mistaken. But Instant is a smaller model. It's way faster. It's not thinking. What it's doing is more trying to, instant recall a good enough answer because not every question needs time to think. Lots of questions can be answered just right off the bat. Like if you need to know, wait, what colors make purple again? It can just tell you that. But if what you want to know is which purple is it I like it at Home Depot in one of their brands, there's this purple. It's really similar to Dodge's old Plum Crazy purple. If you want to know that, that's where you go to thinking. And Pro is where you go if you want to build one of those for yourself. And let's see over here. You got a number of things available to you in the side panel. This is where you start a new chat. You can search your past chats. You can go in and be like, oh, God, I've got 1,000 of these. And one time I asked it about I don't know. I asked it about Back to the Future. So you could search Back to the Future. It'll show you every time you've ever discussed that with it.
Do a test of that. Try to do a search. It's okay if it does Back to the Future.
Okay,
but...
let's do Microsoft because I was just doing some stuff with Microsoft earlier. Subscriber-based pitching tips, AI integration for program management, Microsoft AI security focus, CoreWeave plans. These are not like searches. These are searches of conversations I've had with my personal AI before where Microsoft was mentioned. It works really, really well. Also, you've got various apps you can use, but that's probably a little more in depth than you want to go today. But if we have time at the end, we'll go back to that. Deep Research is a tool that allows you to ask a question and get it to go think for 30 minutes. If what you're doing is say you're doing a big report and you want it to go through like a spreadsheet and you want it to go gather industry data from a government site, stuff like that, and accuracy is really, really important, that's where you use Deep Research. It takes a little while longer. How long is good to wait in thinking mode? And once you see it circling, do you just get out or confront? It can take as long as a few minutes, Lexi. Sorry, I just saw you ask that question. It can take as long as a few minutes. It can be a little short. It totally depends on what you ask. They've gotten much more about kind of flexing that amount of time. It used to be that thinking meant X number of seconds, and then it got a little shorter, and then people wanted longer because they had harder problems, and giving it more time lets it think more. So, if the truth is, you can run it, tell it to go, and if it starts circling, you can go over to another chat and work on something else, and you can have it notify you when it's done. So you don't have to just sit and stare at it. Usually what I will do is I'll spin up 2 or 3 ChatGPT windows here, and if I have 2 or 3 things I know I need to work on this morning, I'll go start each of those, and then I'll go over and I'll drink my coffee while I go through my email and just let it work. You don't have to just stare at it. The truth is, that's where the big productivity boost is. It's doing some legwork for me while I'm going through something else I need to do right now anyways. My day is busy, and this has been such an unlock. I was looking at like even just Grant and I's production numbers from the last like 14 months. Grant, I haven't even told you this. Uh,
Oh, really?
my recording has stopped.
Oh no, you're good. I still see you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me hit something here.
Oh, looks like he just accidentally kicked himself off the stream. Well, he'll rejoin in just a moment. I'm curious to hear what he was talking about, but I just posted something in the chat just to recap what we covered. So we covered you go to your favorite website, and maybe you don't have a favorite website yet. So the easiest one to start with is chat.com. The one that I really like lately is Claude.ai.
Yep.
You can't go wrong with either of those. Gemini and Grok are the third and the fourth, probably best. And Gemini has higher intelligence than, or has is at least on par with the highest intelligence. But we find that it's not as consistent, and actually the app is not as good. So that's why we would recommend Chat and Claude first, and then Gemini
Yes.
second, and then yeah, for total
Yeah.
beginners. For total beginners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Corey, you
mention
dropped off,
Copilot?
but yeah, there is Copilot as well. Yeah.
The reason I often, and I know there are people who have strong opinions about Copilot and really dislike it, but the reason I recommend it sometimes to beginners is because for one subscription, you get access to ChatGPT's best models, Claude's Anthropic's best models. So Claude, you get ChatGPT and Claude in one account. You can switch between them, and there's a new feature they just dropped yesterday to where those models critique each other. No one else is doing that, at least not on a broad scale. It's a thing we've done in agents and such, but not a thing that has been like rolled out to the masses. And that's coming very, very soon. It's in Frontier now, and it'll be to the public by summer. The truth is, if you're a casual user, you're going to get a lot out of that, especially if you already save your files in 365 or something anyway. With that said, yeah, I'm ChatGPT Claude
Yeah, I mean, I use Gemini. We'll get into this. I
and
use
Gemini.
Gemini for specific use cases, but not for my daily driver, and I'll explain
Yes.
why in a minute.
Yeah, Grant and I have
Yes.
opposing daily drivers, is what you should know. And and
No.
and it's not for any real reason. The truth is most of the same features exist in both tools. Both of them have at any given moment the top two models in the space. Uh, but what I will say is that once you get a tool you're comfortable with, sometimes it's not worth changing every time there's a new model or a little tweak. I mean, if there's something significant and you want, absolutely. But I highly recommend finding one you just like the interface on, you're comfortable. You can go and try out their free versions and see. Like, I just don't like how this works, or I really like how this works. And if that's the case, stick with it because these companies are putting out models every couple of months right now. And if you're with either one of these, you're always going to have something that's right near state of the art, if not the state of the art. So I would highly recommend either one of them or both if you just have the expendable money, because
Yeah.
I use them both daily.
So, I just want to cover one thing. So, someone asked about Perplexity. The reason why I would maybe not subscribe to Perplexity right now, unless you're going to pay for their expensive version for Perplexity Computer, which is a different product, is because most of what Perplexity does, ChatGPT does, and Gemini can do, and Claude can kind of do. And we'll
Yeah,
get into that more in part two. But
absolutely.
if you like Perplexity and you find it really, really valuable for you, specifically for search use cases, totally fine to use it.
Yeah,
But
it's a great tool.
it's not, in my opinion, necessarily a replacement for like a daily driver like Chat or Claude.
Yeah.
If you're using it that way, I'd love to learn more about how you're using it.
For me, it's
And
more of a supplement too. I
yeah,
really love Perplexity's Discover feature where it caters news to me. Essentially, it writes news articles based on what it thinks I want to read the news about today.
yeah, I like that.
And a lot of times it's a lot more positive and interesting than the real news are.
And yeah, Perplexity has a lot of really sophisticated financial use cases. Like I said, Perplexity Computer is like a totally different product, and that would
Computer's
be kind
great.
of like a replacement for OpenClaw, and that's really good. So I
Yeah.
think if you're willing to spend the money for Perplexity Computer, that's a completely different conversation, and that probably would be worth your time. Now, it's not to say that you can't do what Perplexity Computer does in ChatGPT or uh, Claude. You just can't do it to the level that Perplexity Computer
Yes.
does it.
Exactly.
But yeah, Perplexity for research. Marcus Stone says, yeah. I mean, it's It's pretty good. I find that it can access probably the most websites besides ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT can access pretty much every website that you need to go to. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, so let's get into. Are there any more absolute beginner things we want to cover? Um,
I think hitting, prompts, how to use the interface. The only thing I could
yeah.
have shown that I didn't, and I'm hesitant to bring it back up because of my internet access,
Okay.
is if you go to your settings in ChatGPT, there's a personalization option, and it's a big menu. It's not intimidating, but it's like, how do you want it to talk to it? Do you want it to be friendly, nerdy, pragmatic? Do you want it to be, very professional? You can customize all of that, and you can tell it things about yourself and determine like how your interactions go, and that was a really big unlock for me.
We can show it on mine. Why don't you walk me through how to do that?
Okay, go down to the bottom left where your information is there, your settings.
Here.
Click,
Okay.
go up to set personalization.
Okay. So you see this? So what I did is I clicked on my profile in the bottom left corner
That'll be your name or your email or something.
and I went to personalization.
And yeah, and when you get over here, like that top drop down, for example, is a really good one. You've
Oh,
got all of
cool.
these
Yeah.
different options. You can have it communicate with you however you want. I usually use Quirky, I believe. Seems like there was a nerdy, but I could be wrong. You can adjust its tone in a variety of ways, up and down a little bit. If something's getting on your nerves, or you've got something you really feel like you need from it to better unlock capabilities for you,
This is really cool.
it
Yeah.
really is. It's a great personalization feature, and not nearly enough people use it. In custom instructions, like mine is told to do things like challenge my assumptions, uh, double check me if I've taken anything for granted as true that is not, and a variety of things like that that are designed to get it to give me what I need out of my AI. And what I need is a backstop to I rush. I do a lot of things in a small amount of time every single day of my life, and I need
Yeah.
something that can be like, slow down, Corey. You left the keys in the door, much like Claude did yesterday. And
Yeah.
we'll talk about that maybe later. If not, I see there are a million questions in the chat here.
Yeah.
We
Let's
will
answer
pull
these.
all of these out and
Yeah.
we can put them in a blog article after, because it's pretty clear we're not going to get every single one of them today, but whatever we don't, we'll put in a blog article and share in the Neuron as well.
I will say for the question about Markham MVP, best way to use AI tools to integrate into a job search, we're going to cover something that will help you do that. And in fact,
Yes.
maybe we can use that as part of our scenario planning here.
Yeah.
Um, the one other thing I wanted to say, so I posted in the chat, okay, things we covered. Go to your favorite platform. You might not have a favorite platform yet, so just maybe try chat.com, claude.ai, gemini.google.com, or grok.com, and just ask a couple questions to each of them and see which one you like the best, and
Yes.
then just go with that one. Because right now the intelligence is pretty on par. I would say the first three are the better of the three at the moment, and the first two are the better of the two for all of the things we're going to cover next. Then you can iterate. So you ask a question. Then the important thing to remember is you're not going to get what you want the first time. So you iterate with it, which Corey showed us how to do. And then iterate on the question. And then you can search to find previous chats. And then the other thing that I didn't mention in that message is Corey talked about this here, which is the model picker. And he talked about
Yeah.
why you would want this. Instant is for just everyday chats. Thinking is if you want it to use a higher degree of intelligence and you're okay waiting for an answer. And
And
pro,
that could
this
be
is,
anywhere from 5 seconds to a minute or two.
yeah, right. It can take some time. And you'll know that that's turned on right here.
Yeah. And you've got an extended thinking option right there as well.
Is that drop down? Oh, yeah. You can do standard and extended. If what you need for it is to give you the highest intelligence possible, then it's probably a good idea to just have extended thinking on all the time. That's what I do when I use Claude. And then there's other tools here, but we'll get into this slightly later as they're relevant. But just remember that if you have this plus sign here, you can use these tools, and there's lots of different tools on here. All right,
Yeah.
so
All right.
now we're going to get into the second part of this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. So we were talking about whether or not, if you're a total beginner, if you start by setting up a project or setting or learn how to prompt efficiently. Corey, what's your reason for learning basic prompting etiquette? And then I'll share my reasoning for setting up a project before you
Okay.
really get involved into anything.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I do, and the reason I say this is prompt engineering was a big subject a couple of years ago. It was largely mocked by the technical community and heavily adopted by non-technicals. Uh, it is still a valuable skill in interacting with AI, but it is not like a profession of its own. So something I see as what we thought was the end game early on was like, oh, world's going to be full of prompt engineers. We're all going to be engineering prompts, and that's what it's going to be. Instead, I think of prompt engineering as AI 101. There are a ton of short classes. You can watch a 15-minute YouTube video and get a lot of ideas and different patterns that you can use to help you out. And what that does is it gives you a little toolbox to show up to the party with. So like, I want to do this. How can I get the best results to this question possible? You can absolutely just say some words and it'll probably get you close. But if you need that extra 3%, that extra 5% that increases your accuracy or ensures what you want, the ability to understand how to carefully craft a question, how to ensure you're not doing things like contradicting yourself in a prompt, which is a big issue. Understanding how to just be clear. The truth is, what you want is the AI to be clear. It's going to answer whatever you ask it. Most of the time, when it answers it wrong, it's likely because someone asked it wrong. And just taking a little extra time there, watch a video. That's really all I would do. I would watch a video or two, take a little extra time when you're thinking about it, especially on hard problems. The truth is, most of Grant and I's day, it gets no thought. But as an absolute beginner, I found it to be a major unlock for me personally, and I highly recommend it.
All right. Now
All
let me
right.
explain the logic behind projects and what they are. And to do that, I'll share my screen and I'll just kind of get into the explanation
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it. So give me one
Are we
moment
bouncing over to
here.
Claude now?
Yeah, we're gonna go to Claude for this next part.
You might give
So
the 20-second rundown of how everything's the same, but it looks a little different. As
okay,
far as
so
like, where you're where
actually,
you
why
where
don't
you
you do
chat,
that
where you
because I think that's you've got that under control here.
Yeah.
So
When you're in the
basically,
desktop app, you're not in.
yeah, so we're going to talk about that. So, another layer of confusion for these tools is that there's a web based version that you can access by going to chat.com
Mhm.
or Claude.ai, whatever your preference is. And then there's also there's also a desktop version you can download.
Of
Um,
both.
yeah, of both of them. And I actually would recommend downloading the desktop version, especially if you want to be using this for any sort of serious work. And the reason I recommend that is because there's just more capabilities that you can do. So I'm going to show you a
I recommend
difference.
it because then your AI isn't hiding in one of the 1,200 tabs you have open. It's its own program.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example here. So this is the web version of Claude, right? And you can see it's a chat window. It looks very similar to ChatGPT. It has a couple different items on the side panel here, but then interestingly, it doesn't have some of the same features that the desktop version does. And
Hmm.
the desktop version, without getting too complicated, has this tool called Cowork, which is where this lives. And then it has another tool called Code, which if you ever hear Claude Code, we write about that a lot in our newsletter. That's what this is referring to. And as you can
Yeah.
see here, I was going to ask Claude, is this safe to use on an MCP server? But yeah, we'll get into that. That's not for today. We're not talking about coding. We're just talking about chat and how this works. So that's why I recommend the desktop. Now, ChatGPT also has a desktop app. I'm not logged into that right now, but it also has one called Codex, and I am logged into Codex. And we might do some demos if Corey's internet is behaving
Yeah.
inside Codex later. But I'll show you the same thing I'm showing you in Claude. I will show you in Codex, which is sort of like ChatGPT's equivalent.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this thing called projects. So I'm going to share my screen here,
All right.
shrink this a little bit. Okay. So what is a project? Projects are folders that you are basically like organizing folders. So in the same way that you would have a Google Drive where you organize all of your documents, this is a way of organizing all of your chats, but it's a lot more powerful, and I'll explain
Yeah.
how that works. Corey, also let me know if there's any questions in the chat related to this, and I can answer them
Okay.
because I can't
Yeah,
see my
I'll
screen.
keep an eye on them while you're going, sir.
Okay, great. So the reason why I think you should set up a project before you do any sort of work or chatting is because it's a really good way to keep this like really messy, like all chats log organized first and foremost. But also you can set yourself up for success by using projects in a way that you can't if you just rely on a standalone chat. So let's set up a test project together. Everybody who has a problem that you're trying to solve, go ahead and ask those questions in the chat. Like
Yes.
what type of project would you like to set up for yourself in AI? Like what
Yeah.
do you want to have the AI help you do?
Give us a good example. Grant will show you how we do it right there. What is the
Yeah,
Copilot equivalent of a project? I should know this.
I think they
They
have
have one.
projects.
Yeah, they
I
have
think it's
projects.
called projects. But let me
I was
double
thinking it
check.
was called projects, but I could be wrong.
It could be called folders,
Dun, dun, dun,
potentially. Are you pulling that up on your screen?
dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I am looking.
Let's see. Might be.
Man, the computer is not happy with me today. I'm
We'll
gonna
get
need
you
an
an answer
upgrade
to
soon.
that. We'll
I'm not on
cycle
like my
back to
best
that.
computer. I'm on like,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll make sure
But
you have an answer to
the
that.
chat GPT equivalent is also called projects. So let me pull up the chat.com one. So projects is right here in the top, in the sidebar corner. So you just hit the little project thing and you can start a project. So whether you are using this or this, where'd it go? It disappeared. Hello. Here we go. Okay. Accidentally hit it. Okay. So whether you're using projects in Claude on the app or ChatGPT on the app or on the desktop, or sorry, on the web version. That's how you do it. So let's go ahead and make a new project. Corey, did anyone give us any ideas for what type of project we want to create? If not, I'll use the job search example from before.
Let's see. Our project's the same. Use Quant Excel. Job search manager. Find businesses. Find people. Customize contacts. Interviews of career pivoters. We've had two mention job search.
Let's do that.
Another one mentioned lead gen. Yeah, I'd hit job search real quick. That
Let's
looks
do
like a
job
good
search.
place
So
to
what we're
start.
going to do is we're going to organize all of our chats related to job searching into a personal project. So
Yeah.
before we mentioned the 5 levels of AI efficiency, and I said that actually setting up a project is level 1. So any task that you're trying to do or any organizing structure to help you accomplish whatever you're trying to do with I recommend making a project.
Yes,
And
I do too.
I have one that's like a general purpose project for everything we do at the Neuron. And basically, what I do is I'm going to hit create project, and there's a couple different components here to keep in mind. And this is pretty much the same between Claude and Chat, but we'll show the differences.
If you're going to do it more than twice, it belongs in a project. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. And also, it's just helpful. Like, you can create a project, and maybe I'll do this as an example too. I'll create a project that's just like Grant's work zone. And I'm just going to say for organizing all my ideas and projects. Like, this is probably not the most efficient way to do it, but if you want just like one staging area to put all of your stuff in, you could do it that way as well. So let me explain the different components here. So first you have a chat window, which is just like if you went to chat.com and you started asking questions. But then you have some of this stuff over here. You have memory, you have instructions, and you have files. Why do you want to use any of this stuff? Like, how is this helpful to you? Files allows you to either upload documents, add text content, add Google Drive or GitHub repos to your database so that anytime you start a chat, in this project, it will be able to access that information and learn from it. Instructions basically works the same way as having a set prompt that you apply to all chats in a project. So basically, let's go back to our job search manager. So what are some instructions that we'd want to give our job search manager? One thing that we could do is we could upload our resume to the project. So the anytime you start a new chat, your this AI that you're talking to will know your resume and it will be able to reference it. And the way that I would do this is you could upload it directly from your device, or you could just add text and paste it in, and you could say like current resume April 2nd, and then resume content pasted here, right? Then you could say, help me update my resume in your project knowledge for this job description. And then you can actually paste the job description in down below. If you want to be really specific and really precise, you can use what's called XML tags. And this just says like, help me update my resume in current resume April 2nd in your project knowledge for this job description. And the reason you would want to use that is because let's say you have multiple resumes uploaded in the file in the project knowledge over here. You want it to reference this specific one that's the most current. But maybe you don't want to delete all those other ones because maybe it's helpful to have them. Maybe you have different types of resumes. Maybe you create your resume a certain way for a certain type of job that you go out for, and you create it differently for another type of job you go out for because let's say you have two sets of skills, and maybe some jobs and previous positions were more relevant for that past, for this role, and other ones are more relevant, etc. So that's why you would use XML tags if you want to direct its attention directly to a specific file. Does that make sense, Corey? Did I miss anything there?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Cool. Now, project instructions would be like always use web search to look up the current date and time before drafting a cover letter.
This is so
Something like
different
that.
to how I use them in ChatGPT.
Okay, we got to get your take as well. But I would also say you are a resume builder, and your job is to help me update my resume and write cover letters for specific jobs I'm going out for. Now, let's say you don't even know what to write here. One thing you could do is you could say, hey, I'm trying to set up a resume build or job search manager project, and I need to write some custom instructions to get my agent to do things exactly the way I want. Can you help me write the best set of custom instructions possible based on Claude's current best practice documentation? Then what we can do here is we can have the AI actually look up and write the custom instructions for us. And what it's doing is it's searching the web, and it's thinking, and it's fetching the information from Claude's best practices, and it's going to now update them so that that applies whenever you have any chat or anything, any tasks that you need to do inside the project folder. Corey, how is this different from what you use it for?
Well, it's not that different. You threw me off when you went in and started at always do it this way. I was like, wait, you're not giving it like a system prompt. I was like, oh, a system prompt would basically be, in case because we haven't explained that before, and I'm not going to get into it too deep, but think of it as every AI runs on one core prompt. So like ChatGPT Claude, they all have a single system prompt that, and a variety of others they connect to. But think of it as a single system prompt that tells it you are a helpful assistant. Your job is to provide users with the information they need. You're going to do this safely. You're not going to give them dangerous advice, that kind of stuff. That's what a system prompt does. And essentially,
Yeah.
with a project, you're giving it its own little system prompt. And absolutely do what he said and have it write it for you.
So that's great context. So and that's something that I missed because I'm in this every day, and I don't think about using the systems prompt as explaining it. But that's basically what it is. When
Yeah.
you're setting up custom instructions, it's a system prompt to help this project basically directly help you as much as possible. So one of the points about that I would add is they can be as broad or as specific as you need. I used to have previous, you can see over here, I used to have a project folder that was just for cutting word counts. I had another one that was for helping me write the around the horn bullets and the intelligent insight bullets that we would write every day. I had one for writing subject lines, but which we're going to get to in level 3. That's actually something that I am now replacing with skills, which we'll get to that. One thing I want to comment here, I don't believe ChatGPT does this, but Claude does. So it's asking me a series of follow-up questions. Do you see this here? So where will this agent run?
Yeah.
This affects how we structure the instructions. So I'll say Claude
Oh, it
projects.
does this too.
ChatGPT does? Great.
Yeah, only on specific things. Like it doesn't do it on every query, but if you're
Yeah.
asking for something like this, yes.
Where should the agent primarily help you with? Finding and tracking job? Let's just say all of the above, because I think we want this to be broad. What matters most in how it behaves? Takes action without asking, asks before major steps, follows a strict workflow. I would say asks before major steps is like the really important one. Okay, so I'm seeing some questions in the chat. Corey, are you answering
I'm
those?
answering a few. Do you want to take a minute and bring a couple up real fast?
Yeah. Can you bring up them on your side as the
Oh,
host?
I'm looking at it from the wrong side. Yes, I can. I'm over here looking
Okay.
at them in YouTube instead of looking at them in the public chat.
Yeah, yeah, I do that too, actually.
I'm over here clicking and they're not popping up on screen and I can't figure it out.
Yeah, right.
All right.
And any and all questions related to projects, because I think projects are like really important to understand if you're going to be doing anything serious with AI inside the applications.
For
So
some
ask them all
reason,
away.
public chat is not coming through. I can't see it in here to bring them up.
Interesting.
It's very, very strange. I've never seen this happen before.
Well, I'll go ahead and read them out loud. So
Okay, yeah.
let's
I have a
see.
couple I could read too if you want to just catch
Yeah,
an answer.
why don't you read the questions and I'll respond and then you can give me your answer as well.
Do okay. So from I'm gonna mess up people's names, so please accept my apology in advance. From Karthik Suri, do projects retain context as we build out several script files for a coding project?
Yes. Now it's not perfect. Like for that specific use case, you'd want to use Claude Code.
Yeah.
Um, and you would want to use your local like repo for where you're writing all the code. That's what you would want to use for that. But yes, if you wanted to do it in your chat window, it could do that. And basically the way that it does that is you can ask it, hey, what was the last conversation we had in this chat? And it can actually like read the previous chats inside the project. So what it's
Something
doing
someone
is,
pointed out here, I want to call out real fast. Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Is that I've seen a couple questions about using projects as an archive as well, like as
Yeah,
where you can do that. And someone pointed out that you can also grab old chats and move them to your project.
that's key. So
That's a baller move right there.
let's say you're not an absolute beginner and you actually have this just like massive log of all of these chats that you like
It's
need
just a
to
hot
organize.
mess of conversations about everything from
Yeah.
how to boil an egg to how to start a car. And
Yeah,
maybe go beyond.
you can do this option here in Claude, which is called change project, and you can just select a different project and put it there. So that's one way to do it, but that's going to be very manual. What would be nice is if they have a project organizer agent that they launch at some point that helps you just say like, hey, organize all my prompts into my
That
existing
gives you a
projects.
select button like the photos in your phone. I want a
Yeah.
select button where I can go, okay, bam, 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 like it's an email inbox.
I think ChatGPT is working on something like that. They have what's called the library, and the library shows you all of your uploaded files. And I
Yes.
believe it shows you all of the images that you've
Any
generated as
image you've
well.
ever created, any video you've ever created, and every file you've ever uploaded.
Yeah.
I within reason.
Yeah.
I don't know how far back it goes, considering it's been around for a few years now,
Yeah.
and uh, but it will do that, and it's really cool to be able to go back to them. I was really excited to see that added because it's a thing I've needed for a minute.
Yeah.
Actually it's easier than finding things in my Google Drive.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. So we asked it to create some instructions for us, and it gave me this document here. And some people might wonder, what is an MD document? This has become the industry standard for the output that the AIs produce. Is they just produce basic what's called markdown files, and that's just a formatting. Like for example, if I was going to open this in Visual Studio Code, you can see what it actually looks like. It uses, symbols to indicate when it's bolded, or it uses XML tags, which is why that's helpful because this is sort of what the agent reads when you send it a prompt, and then when it responds to you, it produces content in this format as well. But when you look at it, it looks like this. And so in this case, it did use the XML tags because that's good best practices for setting up instructions. In this case, it says copy everything below this line into the custom instructions field. So we're going to do exactly that. I'm going to copy all of this. And I'm going to go back to the project folder, and I'm going to set this as the custom instructions, and I'm going to save
Yeah.
it. So now every new chat I start in this project will reference these instructions.
Yep.
Let me just fix this.
And you don't have to type that prompt over and over or go back to an old. This is what I used to do before projects. Is I would be like,
Yeah.
when did I talk about this last? And then I go search through my conversations, and I'd be like, there it is. And then I'd go to the bottom of that and be like, write a prompt that gets me the final result here. And you kind of work through it, and then it'll give you a prompt at the end. So, or I could go grab the prompt I'd used previously because there was never a good way for storing them, frankly, before this. And yeah.
So I'm gonna see if I can get
It's
a
right there.
sample resume somewhere that I can upload, and we can test this out.
You want a sample resume?
Do you have one?
I mean, I have
I have a
mine.
picture of one. Let me see if I can transcribe. Like, can you
A generic
transcribe
one
this
might be the best
picture?
idea.
Add my name, Grant Harvey, to it, and I'm gonna say transcribe this picture exactly as it appears, because the vision models with Claude are still really weak at this point.
Yep.
My name is Grant Harvey to it, and fill in any other details that are missing. So what you would do instead of this is you would upload your actual resume.
Be
Or you
right
can
back. I
even
need a
send it.
cough break.
Oh yeah, that's fine. You know what you could also do? You could also just send it to your LinkedIn profile and say like, "Hey, can you build a resume based on this LinkedIn profile?" Okay, I'm gonna look at the chat and make sure there's any other project questions related. Can you also set instructions later? Yes, you can. Can you use it to set reminders? So we're gonna cover that in level 4. That's more of level 4 topic. Talk about Claude co-working. Yes, we can. I don't want to get too distracted with that because I want to keep this very simple, but everything that we've done with chat, you can do in co-work, and it's a little bit more robust and
Yeah.
easy to use.
We can
So for
also
example,
add that
here,
if there's ever one of these that a large number of you really need a deep dive into, we can absolutely do a live sometime just on that. We would
yeah,
love to
totally.
know what you need to know so we can do this right. We might put a form together or something that we can share out.
Yeah, what we've been doing is in the newsletter every day we have the AI skill of the day, and there's a request form in there. So if you ever have a specific request you want to know, if we don't get to it the following day, what we're trying to do is publish like a digest of them at the end of the month that covers all of the skills that people have requested.
Yeah.
So for March we did that where we covered, maybe it wasn't like the specific thing you requested, but it was like multiple people requested the same type of skill. So we wrote about it in a generic way that everyone could learn from. That's what we did. So
Yeah.
March, it's on the website, the neuron.ai. I'm
I'm
going to go ahead and read a
grabbing
couple more of these.
I'm going to drop one of these down here in the chat for you just so you can see it. By the way, while you're over here checking this thing out, please take a moment to subscribe to the newsletter. The Neuron.ai, more than 700,000 people every morning. We share stuff like this. We share the news. We share tips. We share our videos and interviews with any of the movers and shakers in AI that we can kidnap and get to come on our show.
So one thing to keep in mind, so somebody mentioned co-work. Uh, so co-work actually, this whole project file structure here is meant to replicate like what how the file system works on your computer. What makes co-work different from that is that co-work can actually access the files on your actual computer. So you can give it access to wherever you have your resume already existing on your computer, and you could just say like, "Hey, go to my resume folder and reference that." And that's really powerful, but there are some, security concerns with that. So that's, a little bit more advanced than what we're talking about, but we'll cover it at the end of the session today. Cool. So somebody else asked a question. Can I keep client info in projects to create profiles in order to, for example, have Claude find best fit colleges based on a client's GPA and swim times? Yes, you can. Now, there is an ethical question about whether or not you upload someone else's personal identification like material. So I would probably like generify that, or make sure that you're on the team or enterprise account to make sure that that account, that information is like safe, because otherwise Claude does train on your chats unless you change your settings. Let's
Yeah.
see where it does
I
that.
think they all default to yes. Any AI
Yeah, so
system
you
you're
make
using, that's
sure
talking
you
about it.
have to turn. Someone mentioned privacy. Make
Yeah.
sure the one of the very first things you do is go to settings, uh, help improve Claude. Turn that off.
Yeah. Unless
And
you don't
same in
care.
ChatGPT. Yeah, unless you don't care, but if you're going to be uploading client information to create custom profiles for them, definitely turn this off, because you do not want to, upload somebody else's personal information into the training data. That's like a big do not do, in my opinion. So that's what I would do there. Um, be careful with that. LLMs sometimes go all out to keep you happy and would output what thinks make you happy rather than objective facts. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a real problem. Can Cowork access emails? Yes, it can with something that's called connectors, which we didn't really plan to cover today, but we will cover it in abstract. Any
Yeah.
other questions about projects? Does this make sense? Hey, thanks, Marcus. Appreciate you. Gotta balance due to family obligations. Yes, the live is always available on YouTube. If YouTube accidentally deletes it, like what happened with the Dan Shipper episode, we'll re-upload
Yeah.
it. So don't
Yeah.
worry,
We
it'll
have a
always be on
safety
YouTube.
backup recording. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we absolutely want this to stay available and be watchable. And when this
Yeah.
is over, we'll go and pull this whole chat screen transcript and try to extract all the questions and make sure we go through and hit things we missed.
Okay, so I want to show you an example of this before we move on projects because this is really important. So I've uploaded basically a fake resume here, but imagine I've uploaded my actual resume. Um, I've set my project instructions so it knows what the goal of this project is. And I am now going to say, can you look up jobs that I could apply for based on my resume? So we're going to walk through this here.
We were just referred to as the Ben and Jerry of AI. You should know that.
Wow, that's really
I
kind.
like that. I like that. That's high praise.
Yeah, interesting. There's implications there, which I'd love to unpack at another time. Before I dive into the search, a quick flag. Your resume still has placeholder contact info and an unconfirmed location. That won't affect our job search now, but we need to lock those in before you can actually apply anywhere. That's good feedback. Um, let's see. Ooh, the Neuron is required reading for students in my AI class. Love it. You can just hover over chat in the side panel, hit the three dots, and then add to project. That's right.
Yep.
Would you suggest moving ChatGPT instructions to project instructions? So actually, yes, I would. I actually don't recommend having custom instructions that apply to all of your chats, unless it's something that you absolutely need the AI to do for you every time.
Yeah.
Because I think it will impact the results that you get. And one reason why I personally like Claude better. And Corey, correct me if this is wrong, but it does have project specific memory. So
ChatGPT does as well. You
okay,
can
that's
choose
right.
between project specific or account wide memory.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll just very briefly, since I mentioned we would do this,
I
show
can't
how you
stress
would
what a
set
great
this
time
up.
this is because the truth is all of these tools are great.
Yeah.
You know, just rest assured that they chase each other so fast with feature announcements you can't see straight. So if one of them has something you don't like, just give it a couple weeks. Uh,
So
probably.
here I'm replicating the same process on
Oh,
ChatGPT for
awesome!
anyone who has ChatGPT. I just created my project folder, job search manager, and you hit the arrows in the dot dot dots in the top right corner, project settings.
That's known as an ellipsis, Grant.
I just prefer dot dot dot.
I prefer
Um,
dot dot dot. So it does sound more fun.
and then you can set instructions, and for some reason you can't set project can access memories from outside chats and vice versa. This cannot be changed. So I think you have to set that when you start the project, right? Okay, so here's where you do it. So if you want to make a project that has memories solely related to that project, like let's say you're working on something and you don't want to reference all your personal chats, this is for work, you can set the memory on ChatGPT to when you go to create new project, hit the little gear icon, go to instead of default project only because
Yep.
you can't change it once your project is set. Um, I don't know why you would want to have these little icons here, but you could add them if you want. I
Yeah.
guess those are just suggestions,
Yeah.
ideas. Yeah.
For
But yeah,
generic ideas. Yeah.
and then you can upload. Where do you upload files?
Right there.
Sources? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, so
Used to be called knowledge.
yeah, that's right. That's what was throwing me off. So you can upload files same as we did before. You can use text input same as we did before. You could upload your resume. You could connect it to your Google Drive or to Slack here.
Mhm.
And the best part about this is you can actually share these projects with other people on your team. So if you have a project for, let's say, a
Oh,
project that you're working on at work, you can share this with them so that everybody can ask chats and have all the same context and all the same memory that you have, which is really, really helpful. I believe you can do this on
Grant,
Claude
does
as well.
Gemini have projects?
No,
I'm sure
Gemini
they do,
has something called gems. Let's go to that.
which are like their custom GPTs, really.
Yeah, so I'm going to show this real fast. So Gemini has what's called the gem manager, and this is more like custom GPTs. This would be more akin to what we're going to cover in a minute, level 3, called skills. And so essentially what you would do here is you would set up a new gem. And so what I did is I went to gemini.google.com/gems/create, and you can give it a name, a description, you can give it instructions, you can give it knowledge that you can add uploaded from your drive, you could import
Yep.
code, or from Notebook LM, and then give it instructions for how to respond. And so the way that that works, I'm actually going to show this, Corey. If you don't, or actually, let me ask permission. Corey, can I show the header image creator?
Yeah. Yeah. Show it.
Okay.
Show it.
So every day when we make a header image for the Neuron, I will put in something here. Like I'll either give it the full draft of what the newsletter was, or I'll just give it instructions. We'll say, right, make a header image for a new Around the Horn digest for today, um, and use the text Around the Horn digest everything that happened in AI today. Um, Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. And I make sure I set it to Pro, so I get Banana Pro.
You know
And
what though?
I'll let
Nano
that
Banana
cook.
Pro screws up my pictures. I get
Um,
typos. I get text that is like all caps instead.
so you're saying
Uh,
fast is more reliable?
on this project, I have found on this excuse me on this gym, I
Yeah.
have found fast to be more reliable. I want to use
Okay.
pro. I click it, but it doesn't do as good with text for me. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, not to say it may not sometimes. It's specifically text. The rest is great.
Yeah.
I do mine just a little bit different. All I do is I type in header colon and in parentheses put the copy I want to be there, and then
Mm.
I say something like article text for graphical context.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Real quick, I saw somebody. Oh, here it is. So this is
oh
the image
yeah,
it created, and that's because what I did is I gave it, all of our all previous examples of what we've done. I have very specific instructions for how it's supposed to look, and there you go. It created the header image. So I'm actually going to use this one for today's Round the Horn digest. So gonna go ahead and use that. It's very cute, and I like it. All right, so that's basically how it works. And as Corey mentioned, he uses fast because he thinks that performs better for his needs, and that's fine. But the reason he can do that is because I've actually shared this with him. And so you can share these gems if your team uses Gemini and you're in the Google Suite. You can share these gems with other team members, and then other team members can use it. So that's kind of equivalent to projects. It's not as useful, I would say, because it doesn't organize. Well, actually, let me make sure I don't eat my words there. If I go to video explainer, no, it doesn't show all the previous video explainer chats. So it's not as useful yet. But that's why we recommend Claude or ChatGPT as your daily
yeah,
driver, and then you can use Gemini gems for one-off use cases that Gemini is just better at.
yeah,
Cool. One
yeah.
more one more note on this before we move to level 3. Is somebody asked where can you find the same like don't train on my data and ChatGPT? So I think it's under
Settings,
settings,
data controls.
security. Oh,
It's
data
data
controls.
controls,
Okay.
and
Improve
it's
the
right
model
there.
for everyone. Turn that
Actually,
off.
it was off,
Yeah.
so it defaults to off. Interesting.
Just make sure this is off, right? Just make sure that's
Yeah,
off. And that way, it doesn't mean that OpenAI can't still read the information, but it
correct.
it means that OpenAI is preventing the information that you upload from going into the next training run of GPT-6. So
Yeah, and
if that makes
honestly, there's probably a lot of stuff that provides less value than it used to in the way that grabbing everyone's conversation does.
yeah.
I would think, but
There's some
I
good
click the
there's
same buttons.
There's a lot of really good feedback in the chat, and people are adding their own tips. So definitely read through those for folks
Yes,
who are listening. So here's
that's the
a
other
so
thing we can collect. We could share your tips too.
yeah, no, that's good stuff. I mean, it's stuff I would probably recommend. The one I read is something that I would also recommend. It just isn't part of this
Yeah,
presentation. But as you can see here, so here's what I found, and more importantly, how I think about your search strategically. So it says where there's a market for you, and it gives me some links. Now, what I would do instead is I would update my instructions, and I would say um, formatting rules. I'll add down here whenever giving me or whenever I request job postings or looking for jobs, list the direct URLs to the direct job postings with the job description in a bullet point list so I can easily click to apply. And I'm just going to save that because this is great. Like, okay, cool, it's giving me this, but what I want is just a URL that I can click, go check out, and go.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of part of level 3. So let me ask it. Can you read the current instructions about job postings and try that again? Let's see if it updated in real time. If not, I'll just start another chat.
Yeah.
There you go. It updated. You're right. Let me get you the direct links to actual job postings you can click and apply to. So this is key. So whenever it comes back with a format of what you didn't want, give it updated instructions for how you actually want it to respond to you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Um, Maybe this would be a good time to just cover anything we haven't covered about prompting for level two, since I'm
Yeah,
realizing if we're considering this level one, then we should probably talk about prompting
yeah,
now. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There are a number of things I would say about prompting. If I was going to give a couple simple rules, um, the hack that's going to make it all not matter is going to come at the end of this. But I would
Yeah.
say number one, think clearly. Remember not to write the way you speak out loud. In the end, this is a computer. Your language needs to be clear for it to understand what you do. We speak with a lot of analogies and other goofy phrases that wouldn't make sense to a computer that thinks more literally. So I think it's important to watch out for things like that in your language. I wish I had a good example. I don't have one handy.
I can pull one up from the
But
blog. So this presentation is based on this article we wrote this week, the 5-level AI proficiency stack. So level one is setting up your projects, which we just covered, and custom instructions. There's great links to this. I'll share this in the
which is also
chat.
prompting.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it is prompting. Yeah. So to your point, Corey, maybe level one is still prompting, but but here's some good examples. So once your project is set up, prompting gets much simpler because half the context is already
It
loaded.
is.
You don't need to say I'm a marketing director at a fintech startup every time the project already knows because it has your current resume and your instructions that tells it everything about you. Um, for the prompts themselves, the simple formula is persona task context format. Honestly, cut this out. You don't need this. If you have custom instructions, you don't need to give it a persona. You just need to give it
Yeah.
task, context, and format. So
Unless
analyze
it
this sales
unless for
data.
some reason you want it to have one.
Yeah,
I mean, if you specifically want that one to be a
yeah. So analyze the sales data and identify the top three trends. In this case, if we have a project set up, you could say, uh, analyze the sales data in quarter three sales data. And then that's referencing here,
yeah.
something like that. Context, this is the Q1 2026 data for our SaaS product. We're preparing for a board meeting. I would even be more specific than that. I would be like, I have a board meeting in 3 hours, and I need to create a full spreadsheet analyzing all these data across X, Y, Z
Yeah.
use case. I don't know, whatever, across X, Y, Z. And then format presented as a one-page executive summary with bullet points. So in this case, I would say the format needs to be a spreadsheet formatted exactly like the example in example spreadsheet template. And then, upload a previous example of how your reports look so that it actually knows what you're trying to produce and it produces it the exact same way.
I still have such a tendency to just copy and paste it and drop it in there and say, do it like this.
Yeah, you can do it that
Follow
way.
this format, paste.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
so much of that. Like, and then I'll just yesterday we were working on like data about all of our sites because like the Neuron is owned by Technology Advice. We have 60 or 100 websites. I don't remember. They have a bunch. And we were going through a list of some of them and trying to make sure that we had like who's the audience here on there. And so what I did is I grabbed one that was really good and I went in and I dropped it at the bottom of my chat window. And then I went and emptied the form, went up here and said, here's the blank form. Here's a good one. And I said, go check this site, fill out that form. And it, does the thing.
I
That was a
think
fun
there's a
sound.
way. This is a team account, so maybe you can't do it on a team account, um, or maybe you can. There should be a way either in security or data controls where you can download the data, like download all your previous chats. Corey, do you know where that is on ChatGPT? Because I saw a question about this.
Oh, where you would download your archive. It'd be in your settings.
Yeah, I did this recently, but I
It
don't know
might
if
even
that's
be in data controls.
what I was thinking, but I don't think we have
Archive
access
all
to that on
chats.
it.
Oh, well, archived. You have none archived.
I don't think that
Um,
because that
I
just
know
like
there was a way to do it.
yeah, I don't know if it's possible on the team account or perhaps ChatGPT changed it because a lot of people are switching to Claude.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
we are on the business account too. That's the other thing. So ours
Yeah.
is a little different than yours will look.
But yeah, that for prompting, you can get more specific with it if you want, but really the main thing you need to internalize is this. You need to give it a task. And I would probably also add a goal, like, but that can be added to your custom instructions for the project you're working
Yeah.
on. Like my goal is, I am a newsletter writer, and my goal is every day I need to make a newsletter covering the top AI news that has happened in that day. That's the sole purpose of this whole project, right?
Yep.
Task, context, and format. This could also be, presented as a bullet point list, like any constraints that you have on the project and what it needs to look like. Do not forget that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It makes a
and
big
then,
difference in the quality of what you get back and
and
the
like
amount of
Corey
cleanup.
said, sorry, Corey.
Sorry.
No, you're good. And then, like Corey said, like context, it can be something you just add and upload, right here. You can even paste. The nice thing about Claude is, like, for example, let me just copy. And in fact, you can do this. I give everyone permission to do this. You can go to you can go to our website, copy all of this in, copy and paste it into a project that you start, and you can say like, help me set up my AI setup exactly like this project is set up,
Yep.
or exactly like this article says. And you can just do that, you know.
Yeah, and as you get a little more in the weeds, like I'm doing things with, like that's one of my things with OpenClaw that made me fall in love with it so much is that I'm taking like if I see a research paper I like and it's something that can be and I'll drop it in my OpenClaw and say, hey, is this interesting? How could this benefit what we're doing? And it'll come back with, we could do this, we could do that. Do you want me to implement that? And like there was one night OpenAI dropped a research paper. Right now, I can't even remember for the life of me what it was on. But like, I was at a Mexican restaurant and I saw the paper and I was like, "Well, that sounds cool." So I dropped it in Telegram to my OpenClaw at home, and it's like, "Do you want me to do that?" And before I finished dinner, that research paper that just dropped, what it was suggesting was implemented on my home computer.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
All right. So Deb in the chat said, "Can Claude create concept and mind maps?" What I said is make one. In this case, it has access to a plugin that I gave it, and we can talk about that when we talk about skills. And
Excaligger.
what it's gonna do is it's gonna create a mind map, concept map based on my resume. So I've never read this resume. I'm interested to see what happens. Um, in fact, while it's doing that, let me go ahead and see. So here's the recommendation it gave me based on our blog post. You're inside a Claude project right now with custom instructions, reference documents, and a structured workflow. That's level one. And then it gives me advice on what to do from there, which is cool. Now, how did I get Claude to do these, uh, to, to use Excalidraw? Well, what I did was I went to this tab called Customize. And on Customize, you can connect connectors, which we weren't really
By
covering
the
in this,
way,
but
did you notice Claude changed them to connectors recently? Is that not funny?
I think it's been connectors for a
Claude
while,
invented
actually.
MCP,
Yeah,
shared it with the world. ChatGPT used it, called it connectors. And
yeah.
now Claude has changed theirs over to connectors. It's all still MCP, and it's actually the industry standard now, at
Yeah.
least for the moment. But that's another story.
Now, the way you would do it, if you wanted to add your own, is you would come over here to connectors. So customize connectors, and then you click this little plus button and you hit browse connectors. And this will show you all of the publicly available connectors that you can use. And if you see an app that you already use, like let's say you use Hugging Face, well, that's a very specific one. Let's say you use Figma because you're a designer, or use Monday.com because you know have that's your project management tool,
Yeah.
you can just hit a little plus sign here and that will add it to your account. And what that means is it'll have you log in. And once you log in, Claude can always use the publicly available functions that Figma or Monday.com give you access to, which, as you can see here, Beehive, which is our newsletter platform, just updated their own tool here.
I have my
And
Notion connected to ChatGPT and Claude.
that's cool. I
I
like
can
that.
from either tool ding the Notion board that runs the website I built.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love it. Love
I
it.
thought so. I was like, this is great. I can have this one manage this part. I can have this one manage this part.
But yeah, so I had the Excalidraw plugged in, and so now with that, it can create a little mind map here, and I can go in and I can edit it. Now, I think if you just are chatting with Claude on the website, I think it can also create concept mind maps.
You could probably tell it use only black text. You could tell it,
Mm,
I want to make sure that these are all in circles and not rectangles. I'm certain it would take the instructions and just go do it.
yeah, because basically when you have this connector set up, it can use the app
Yeah.
that basically anything that the app allows over the connector, it can use that function. And the best way to set these up, if you have your own apps that you're trying to connect through a connector, is to give what we talked about with Dan Shipper last week is agent native engineering.
Yeah.
And what that means is treating the agent as a first class citizen who could use the app in the same way a human can. So any functions that I could use, any buttons I can click, any tools I can add, the agent can also use. So if this is set up in that exact way, then the agent should be able to do anything you could do when you click the edit tab, which means you can just ask it, make all the colors black, and it'll do that. Now, that's just a very brief overview of connectors. Corey, anything else on prompting?
No, I think we're good, but I think we jumped over skills, didn't we?
Well, let's get into that. So
Grant and I aren't good with linear thinking. You should know that.
that's why we created this run of show document for ourselves to try and keep us on track here. So
I have
speaking of
looked at
that,
it today, Grant. You'll be proud.
thank you, thank you.
I opened it and I've even tried to follow along.
So here's what we've covered, right? The simplest formula. We did a live example. Um, we didn't really talk about this, but context engineering is just exactly what I said. So, in order for the AI to help you, let's go back to in order for the AI to help you with your job search manager and to actually save you time and not have you manually writing cover letters for every job, it needs to understand your resume. It needs connections. Maybe it needs to be connected to your LinkedIn if that's possible. Maybe it needs to be connected to like other services that you use, like Gmail or things of that nature, so that you can pull in all of the context that needs to actually give you a good answer that's not generic, that's
Yeah.
not just like what Google would give you, that actually helps you accomplish the task and reduces hallucinations because it knows everything about you. If I was just to go to a random chat and say, write me a resume, it'll write me a resume for some person it's never met.
A good prompt engineering course, by the way, I know we mentioned those a little bit earlier, will handle
Yeah.
context engineering as well because it's, you know, getting the right context is a vital part of that.
Yeah.
A short course could be a handy thing. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
yeah, stay
Skills.
tuned. We might have a
Oh,
cool announcement in a few weeks for you.
I like that
That's
subtle
really
plug.
all I can say.
I'll say now. So what I'm doing here is I'm iterating, right? So I have this the way set up the way I want, and what I'm going to say is now let's turn this into a skill I can call at any time I want to make a mind map in my preferred format. So this is the unlock. This is level 3. This is the thing that most people, it's relatively new, so most people
Yeah.
haven't wrapped their heads around this yet. And it's the thing that's going to save you so much time. So
Hmm.
if project saves you a lot of time because it's organizing all of your structures and organizing all of your chats and helps you so that you can do recurring tasks on a recurring basis with all of the same information, then skills are basically automating the actual prompting process.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to prompt
And your
to
tool
get a reply.
calls, as well as any like reference docs.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, it's that's what kind of makes it a step past a project. I think is
yeah,
that it's not just your prompt; it's your prompt. It's the tools you want it to use. It's they're really handy. They're not available in standard ChatGPT yet. They are available in ChatGPT business accounts and in Codex. Uh, they are available in all of Claude's tools. I don't believe Gemini has skills at all yet, but I shouldn't say that.
yeah.
That could be
I
inaccurate.
wonder about this. Like, I wonder if I was just in Gemini, and let's try this. If I could say, can I call my header image creator? No.
If I'm, by the
So,
way, if I'm honest, what I would do anywhere that doesn't have them is I would connect your Google Drive to it and start a folder where it saves
mm,
skill files for you, and it would do it. It could reference them as you tell it to, and it would really negate whether they offer them at all. I think.
that's a really good tip. So what you're saying is like have a shared skill folder, and you could
Yeah,
connect it to Google Drive, and then
yeah.
that way
It's
Gemini
connected to
can
Google
reference it,
Drive. Yeah,
Claude and ChatGPT. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a really good tip.
The only catch would be it doesn't do. You'd have to keep it from like converting the MD files over, but that's not a big deal. You could absolutely do it that way. It's a little backwards, but I love these. Grant and I probably combined for 100 of them, if I had to guess, give or take, maybe more. I haven't counted. I haven't counted. Grant will have more than me. Uh,
That's funny. So when Linda said, I upload your newsletter to Claude whenever you have new info about him. Generally, he will thank me or say he didn't know. I love that. I think that's great. I think like the best way to read our newsletter because there's so much information in it is probably to just upload it to the AI and be like, how could this help me?
yeah,
I
Deb, I'd like to
totally.
say your question here. So Deb Shiano asked, so whenever you access the skill, it will perform that specified skill with whatever you give it to access. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
I'm trying to get the cover letter customizer into a good point because I think this will be a better skill to
the
test.
truth is they're also relatively good at recognizing I need to call that skill. But it
Yeah.
Grant and I both still tell it to call the skill because 2 times out of 10 they don't if you just assume it will. But normally I just say something like, "Hey, call my blog article skill," or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and it knows.
So what's funny is, so basically my chat is being very like reasonable with what's requesting from me, what it needs from me before it can actually
I
do
hear
this.
you, Grant. That's my favorite response.
Yeah, it's basically I was like, just make it up. This is for a demo. But it was asking for specific information it needed from me, so it didn't hallucinate, which I actually really respect.
Same,
I'm glad that it did that.
same.
Um,
That's a thing AI didn't do a year ago. Stop
yeah,
and ask questions.
yeah.
It's
So
so important.
So what I'm about to do is I'm about to have it reverse engineer this chat where I wrestle with it. I try to get it to give me exactly what I want. What I want is I want it to give me the exact jobs that I am qualified for, and I want it to write custom cover letters for each of those jobs. And I wanted to do that every time I, start my day or whatever. So we're on step three of that process, or actually we're on step two of that process, which is I'm iterating with it. I'm asking it questions. When it doesn't give me exactly what I want, I force it to give me what I want by giving it more context about what I'm looking
Yep.
for. In this case, I said just make it up, but you would want to tell it, give it the information it needs to be able to do the job the way
Yeah.
you're asking it to
Absolutely.
do. Any questions about this so far? I know we've barely touched on skills. We're going to explain it a little bit more in depth, but
Yeah, the
but
truth
we
is
need
it's
to get
not
through this.
once you understand the other things, skills aren't too hard to jump.
Yeah.
Uh, but the unlock is big. I think that's the real key with them is that um, and I would apply that same rule. If this is something I'm going to do more than twice, it needs a skill or a project or something that makes it quicker, easier. You know, uh, make sure you've got the result you want, and then have it build the skill.
So while we're waiting for this to build out, Someone asked in the chat a couple of minutes ago, how do you get individual ChatGPT chats into a project? Let's see if we can figure it out. Test. I have extended thinking on. Okay. Hi, I'm here. Okay, great. So now I have a chat. Move to project. So it's the exact same workflow. So you hit the dot, 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 you hit move to project, and then you can add it to job search manager. And voila, it's in there. Cool. All right, let's see if our... Okay, great. So as you can see, so it gave me a lot of stuff here. So what am I looking at? So I've got a cover letter for
Each role, right?
each role. And as you can see, each of them are customized, taking a minute to load. But for example, I could open it in my text editor and I can then go in and edit it myself. And then what I could do is I could tweak it, I could edit it, and then I could re-upload it and say, okay, use this version that I've edited.
Yeah.
But here I have a workflow where I've wrestled with it and I said, this is what I want you to do. Can you look up jobs that I can apply for based on my resume? Can you create custom cover letters for those jobs? Can you give me the URLs? And so now what I'm going to say is now can you use your skill creator skill to turn this conversation into a skill that I can call anytime I need to look up jobs and create custom cover letters for those jobs. Be careful when doing that, as it's easy to drop a chat into the wrong project. Good call, Alexi. Appreciate that. Linda says, "Oh, Claude says your newsletter is well respected in the AI community." I hope
Thank you,
I hope
Claude.
so. That's nice. Sometimes I realize like not everyone in the AI community reads us, but a lot of people do. But it's funny when we come across people who don't. It's like, oh, hi.
Yeah. It was
And
I was at NVIDIA GTC a couple of weeks ago, and it's the first time Grant and I always joke about we go to these trade shows, and it's funny how we just never run into anybody that's like we're like, oh, we're with the Neuron, and they're all like, huh? But NVIDIA GTC, we found the Neuron readers.
yeah, it's like, oh, here's where you are.
It kept it felt like every time we turned a corner that week, somebody would
Yeah,
come around. It was really cool. It was nice to meet some people.
yeah. So what's happening here is ChatGPT actually sorry, not ChatGPT, Claude has what's called a skill creator. And if you were to go to customize, and instead of choosing connectors, you choose skills. Now you can see a series of skills that we have here, but you can hit plus, you can hit browse skills. These are actually skills that other people have created that they've made public. So perhaps you don't know what type of skill you want to create. Well, you could come here and there's some that are already for you.
I'm
This
always
one's
a
a really
little
good one.
careful with other people. There's also skills.so.
So this is from Anthropic. So these ones are
Okay.
safe.
These are Anthropic built. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And what I wanted to reference was this one, which is the skill creator. So what it's doing here is it's actually calling this skill creator that creates other skills. And as you can see, a skill is a series of folders
It's
and markdown
skillception.
files. Yeah, but it also has code that it can call to do stuff for you. So uh, you can totally analyze this and reverse engineer it and make your own version. But as you can see, it's the skill is like a series of Python files and markdown files and HTML that helps it create other skills.
Yep.
And you can look at the same thing here for how all of these others are set up. So let's go back. So that's what's happening under the hood when you're calling the skill creator skill. So let's go back to our current conversation, or actually let's go to job search manager. Okay, so let's hit the bottom. All right, so now what it's done is it says, here's your package skill. To install it, download the skill file. Actually, what Claude does, which I really, really like, is they have this what's called save skill. So I don't even have to download this. I just can hit save, and it will copy it to my skills. So now, as you can see here, job search cover letters. Boom, there it is. Now, let's go back to our project folder. So back over here.
Yeah,
And
Robert,
let's
there will
say-
be this will be archived on YouTube ever. And absolutely available to watch. We'll have some follow up materials as well. I just wanted to respond because I saw you looked like you might have to go.
Go look up the top jobs that I can apply for today. And and let's see if let's actually see if it calls the skill. Um, let's see.
Grant, how are skills different from an agent?
That's a really good question. You could think of skill as like giving an agent everything that it needs in order to accomplish a task. So
Yeah,
the skill is more like the organizing principle and all of the files and all of the tools that the agent needs to go out and accomplish the job.
yeah.
Um, did it actually call my skill? Yeah, read the job search skill. Now let me search for jobs matching their profile. That's great. So now it knows exactly what I want, and let's see how well it adheres to what I'm looking for. Um, One other thing to comment about this. So let's say it doesn't call it right away. You can now go and change your instructions to say, whenever I ask for job, what did I have that before that I edited? Format and structure. Well, you can even say at the top, right? Core behavior, decision making protocol. Okay, it's got this good stuff here.
Yeah.
I would just throw something in here, or I could even copy all of this into the chat, and I'll say like, "Hey, can you update my instructions for this project to use the newly created job search skill whenever I ask anything job search related?" And then I'll just paste that in. And then it can then go and give me the updated file. So I don't even have to mess around with that. I can just copy the new version and replace it. So let's go back to the other chat over here. Cool. So, all right. So what it did is it found the direct job postings. And these are new ones that we haven't seen before. Pre-filtered search pages. Oh, that's nice. A lot of openings. Now, what it didn't do is it didn't immediately start writing the cover letter for me. So what I would do is I would go back to this and oh wait, I was in the wrong, was I in the wrong chat? Okay. Let's update this skill so that it always automatically makes a cover letter for every job that it finds. Now, this will then update the skill, and now I can show you how updating skills works. While that's working, let me show you how to do this on ChatGPT. So if you're using ChatGPT, what you can do is you can go to skills. So click on your profile, the bottom left corner, go to skills, and they have a skill creator skill. But what you can do is you can do new skill, create with chat. You can create with an editor, or you can upload it from your computer. So if you follow Corey's advice, what you can do is you can create a central skill repository for yourself, like on Google Drive, drive.google, and then you can upload all of the skills that you've created in Claude or ChatGPT and upload it there, and then you can just transfer them to chat like that. Oh,
Or use your connector.
or you can use a connector. That's right. Yeah, that's right. You could go to Job Search Manager, and if you have uploaded your Drive to ChatGPT, or sorry, if you've uploaded your skills to your Drive, you could say use the Google Drive connector and pull my job search skill to this chat or something like that. That would be a way to do that.
Or reference. I would just say reference it even. It wouldn't even have to bring it in, probably.
Yeah, and reference
That's
it.
my theory, at least. I very much just made that up while we were talking.
But as you can see, like you can also share skills across your company, which is a huge unlock. So as you can see right now, our company doesn't have skills, but we probably should work on that.
Yeah.
I've no created skills yet on here, but I've installed the skill creator skill.
I have, but
And
I think it's just that we don't have any company created ones. Yeah. But
yeah,
that's
which
something
is
we need to fix, Grant.
fair. Yeah, yeah. Well, you're gonna do a whole presentation on that in a couple of weeks, so that'll be
I
good.
am. Actually, it's a good reason to do some now.
Where do you find Corey? Where do you find new skills? Like, does ChatGPT have a skills library that you
Yeah.
can?
I don't know if there's one a library or not. I just tell it to
Yeah,
create them, and it does.
yeah. But you would do the exact same process. So, like, let's say
Yeah.
you have the exact same chat in ChatGPT. You could say, use your skill creator skill um, to create a skill for this chat. Um, yeah,
I
something like
don't
that.
even tell it that much.
What do you
I
say?
just
Just like make a
I just
skill.
say I just say make this a skill,
Yeah.
and
So here's what
usually
I did on Claude. What I did is I had it update the job search cover letter skill, and then it gave me a new skill here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save skill, and then it gives me the option to upload and replace it. So I
yeah.
don't have to go in, I don't have to edit all those files, I don't have to do any of that. It just automatically has updated the skill for me in the skills manager, which is
Yeah.
great.
Grant, do we want to take a couple and run through these last couple of things now that we're about
Yeah.
an hour and 40 minutes deep?
Yeah, that was supposed to be like 5 minutes.
Honestly,
We're deep into
automations
it.
ought to be its own
Yeah. Well, let
thing,
me just
probably.
show you scheduled tasks because I think that's important. So
Yeah.
now that we have our job search skill, I'm going to cover level 4, which is, all right, so level 4 of this is automation. So once you've got skills you can call anytime, now you can schedule them for recurring tasks. So you can do this in Claude or in Cowork. And Corey, can you do this on the ChatGPT app?
Are they in Claude's website, Grant?
Where the
No.
skills or the
They're
automations?
they're not in the. I don't think. Yeah, automations. Are
Uh,
automations in Claude's web UI?
this is the web version you need to use. So I think
Yeah.
if you're on ChatGPT's web app, you might be able to do it, but you can definitely do it on what's called Codex. And Codex
Yeah.
is ChatGPT's coding app, but don't be intimidated by that. This is a great place where you can do scheduled automations.
I use it
And
to write. I use it for to manage my banking. I use it to give me cooking recommendations. I use it for about everything now.
yeah, and
And it
full
looks like they're moving
disclosure,
toward this as a super app anyway, so at some point in the near
exactly
future,
what I was going to
we
say.
all will
Yeah,
be.
so eventually the ChatGPT core app will have the exact same features that this has, which will be great. So, but yeah, the difference is instead of scheduled tasks, ChatGPT calls them automations. So now I'm going to go back to the Claude app here. And I think actually for this one, you might need to be in Cowork. Yes. Okay. So this is why you need the chat or the Claude app.
The desktop
So
app, yeah. That's why I was asking. I thought it may be that neither of them have it in the web UI
yeah, let's see.
yet.
Let's see. Job. I don't know how to get my job search manager over here.
Is it not?
Oh, you know what I can do? I think I can do this. So let's
But you
go
can in
to
chat, yeah.
projects, job search manager, start a new task in Cowork, and then
There you
I give
go.
it permission. Yeah. So this is the flow. So now you've got your project set up and you've got a skill that you can use inside your project. What you do is on the desktop app, you start a new task in Cowork, you give it permission, create a task, and then you say, hey, every day at 6 a.m., I want you to run the job search skill and find all the new jobs that have been posted today
And you could
for
give it
me to apply
restrictions
to.
like it needs to be above $80,000 in the greater San Francisco area. It needs to offer a comprehensive health insurance package if you wanted. And it can filter that down for you so instead of so you don't get
Yeah.
a lot of trash and you get jobs that actually care about, you know.
And then does it give me permission to work in the project? No. So I'm just gonna go go with it like this. So what happens in Cowork now is Cowork knows the project because I've said to start a new task. It's going to get this set up for me. It's going to check my resume and then the relevant skills, so the scheduled task knows exactly what to search for, and it will put this together.
Yeah, and it'll be very cool, and it won't take long.
No, it's pretty nice. It also gives you on Cowork, it gives you like a little progress
Grant,
report.
that's your real phone number.
No, it's not. Yeah, don't call this. This isn't me. Whoever this person is, I apologize for doxing you.
It's all right. If anyone has the number 333-333-3333, they're already pretty
Yeah,
miserable.
that's funny. So now it's going to create a scheduled task, and it's going to give me the option here. It's going to say, search for new software engineering jobs in Greater San Francisco area with health insurance, generate cover letters, schedule. So it's 6 a.m. every day. But let me do it. Let me update it. So I'm like, hey, can you actually run that every 15 minutes? And it will change it.
I want to answer a question real quick here from Pish Noah. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and I'm certain I did. You're probably not finding them in ChatGPT because you may not be on a business account. They were just rolled out in business accounts a month ago, and they should probably be rolling out broader. If it was today, I wouldn't be shocked, but it could be a month. I don't know, but I gather that they're coming very soon. But if you download their Codex desktop app, it's right there, really easy to
Yeah.
use, and all of this. So the desktop app has it. The web UI does not yet.
Yeah. So what I would do is don't be intimidated by Codex. Go to Corey. Could you drop the Codex link, the
Yep.
download link in the app?
Sure.
And I would do it that way. And it has pretty much the exact same thing. You can start with a project. In this case, it wants you to use a project that's actually on your folder or sorry, a folder that's on your desktop, but you can just do new folder, test.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see my screen because it pulled up my file manager, but then you can do it here and you could say like, let's create a skill to track job postings related to my resume, and let's see if it lets me do it. Okay, so I'm going to scaffold a reusable codex skill for job posting tracking, starting by reading the local skill creation guidance, and that'll create. Yeah, so perfect. It knows exactly what it needs to do. It's reading the skill creator skill, and it works the exact same way. And anyone can do this. I think it's for the Codex app is free, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't need to have
Codex
a business
free,
account.
and it'll connect to your normal ChatGPT account.
Yeah,
That's the other thing. So if you have a ChatGPT Plus subscription for $20 a month, it'll connect to that.
yeah. And it's just
and
going,
then,
man. It's just writing stuff. It's doing its thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It
that's
does.
pretty great.
I legit have Codex building AI models for me right now.
Yeah, crazy.
It's simple. It's easy to understand. I'm not a software engineer. I always joke, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. If you remember the old commercials, it was
No, but that's hilarious.
that was it. We need a doctor, and a guy comes running over, and they go, "Are you a doctor?" And he says, "No, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night." And
Hilarious.
yeah,
So
they were
let me-
amazing. I
so
just
let me
dated
show
myself,
people.
but someone will get it.
So let me just show people. So okay, so if you remember a couple minutes ago oh, that's nice. Give me a
Notification.
notification. Yeah, we'll click that away for now. So I said, hey, every day at 6 a.m. I want to run a job search skill to find all of the new jobs. And then I asked it, hey, can you actually make it run every 15 minutes? So now I can go to scheduled on the left-hand bar here, so right under search, and I can see my daily SF job search. It says it's active. It says next run is at 12:03 p.m. But if I actually want to just run it right now, boom, I can hit run now. And now you can see the scheduled task and it's
Is a
running the
running.
search. Yeah. So someone asked, I'm not finding skills on ChatGPT. You already answered that. I know which project without specifying.
Does it know
No,
which project?
the only reason it knew that is because I went to the project
And opened
on
it
my
from
chat
there.
tool, and I said start a new task in Cowork. So it already knows to use this project folder's context to start the task inside Cowork. Yeah, and that's how it knew. And then so now I go back to Cowork, and we can see my scheduled task is running here. So it's got the skill MD. it's running the commands, it's searching the web, it's finding me my job postings,
Okay.
and we'll
Grant,
see how it outputs. Yeah.
do uh do we want to hold off on agents and do like an agents 101?
Well, let me
I
just
would
give a
hate to
brief
halfway
overview.
do agents.
Let me give a brief overview. Everything that we're
Okay.
doing
Okay.
here, we're interfacing with an agent. The agent, I've given the
Yeah.
agent a goal. The agent is going off and it's, following the instructions that I've set for it, but it's making its own decisions here. It's reasoning. It's, it can't access certain things, so it's searching again, it's
Hmm.
doing all of the decision making. So in order for me to make an agent to accomplish what I want, you could do level 1 through 4, and just using Claude or the Codex, you're working with an agent. Like
Yeah.
you don't need to use any sort of complicated agent builder. Don't need to use N8N. You don't need to use the agent kit. Like this is
Yeah.
technically working with an agent.
Yeah. You're right. Technically, these automations were exactly what every company was billing as AI agents 2 years ago. Uh, except they were much more complex to set up and build. And Grant and I talked about it a number of times along the way that it's really soon. You're just going to say, "Hey, build me an agent that does this," and now
Yeah.
that's what we have. We have uh, something I'm willing to call agentic finally.
I mean, I'm using the cowork agent, let's say, to create a scheduled automation, but I've essentially created a daily job search
Yeah,
agent, right?
but an agent lives
And
within that automation that is
yes,
pre-qualifying those for you.
yeah.
So your
So
agent
if
created an automation that contains an agent.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And this is why like the Claude code leak, right, that happened yesterday was kind of a big deal because Anthropic puts a lot of effort into creating these agents and creating all of the UI and the user experience elements that make this work really well. And now everybody is like basically shared that and is
Yeah,
learning from how they set
improved
theirs
it.
up. Yeah,
There were some serious improvements this morning. I was watching a few things, and they were like, "Oh, do you want to not worry about memory anymore? Do you want to not?" I've seen it
yeah.
now duplicated into Python, duplicated into Rust. I've seen
Wow,
uh, Claude Codex, where it's blue and like everything that's orange is blue, and it runs on the Codex models. I've seen it.
wow.
Uh, yeah. Not to mention the other companies who are reverse engineering. I say companies. It's probably more. I say that they're all looking because if anybody leaks anything, you're going to. But
Yeah.
it's really interesting. But
The
for what it's
organizing
worth,
ideas can
their
be
two
complicated.
competitors
Yeah.
are both open source.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Codex and Gemini are both open source. Well, at least their CLI is, and this was CoWorks. This was Claude Code's CLI, not the app.
Uh,
And they didn't leak like the codex model weights. We're specifically talking about the harness
yeah.
around Claude Code that makes
Yeah.
Claude Code good.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to do all of this with like a coding agent, right? You would just do it all in code
Yeah.
instead. That's how you do it. Yeah. But it has
Fun,
pretty much all
fun
the same
fact for those of
functionality.
you
Yeah.
discussing M dashes earlier. At least in Codex, and I haven't tested it in Claude Code, but I'll bet it's true there too. There are no M dashes because, as Grant would say it, Grant.
It's not gonna tolerate that. Like code bases don't need M dashes. Like they're not gonna tolerate that.
No, no, they're not.
Like, yeah.
And
Yeah.
which means somewhere along the line, it's been figured out how to not have M dashes. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm still angry about the M dash. It was like as a journalist at small town newspapers and working my way up through my career to bigger publications. The M dash was. I mean, I made M dashes every single day in every single article I ever
Speaking of
wrote.
them,
Speaking of M dashes, hello there.
yeah, they're here on the screen. But yeah, so this is a scheduled automation. It went
Yeah,
ahead. It created cover letters for all of the jobs that it found. For jobs for Chime, for Salesforce, for Flex, Prelim, Cargo, Gusto. Um,
this is
and it's gonna
the job seeker's revenge on applicant tracking software.
Yeah. And I mean, now look, this is very basic. It just created the cover letters. You still have to go in and apply. But, in theory, you get creative and you can figure out how to make the agent actually apply for you. But look, this runs every day at every 15 minutes. So I can be creating new cover letters for new jobs that are legit jobs from the internet every
Yeah.
15 minutes. And actually, you can do these scheduled tasks every minute if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to run out of tokens when you do that. As you can see, I'm on the max plan here, so that does make a difference. But yeah, you can create and you can create scheduled automations for
Yeah.
anything you can create skills for and projects for.
If you're on the $20 plan, yeah, you may well hit some rate limits with some of what you've been shown today.
Yeah.
If you start using it extensively. But they
So
have a
in
mid-grade plan for $100, right, Grant?
Yes, and I think people have done the analysis to say the $100 plan for Claude is probably the best value that you get versus the $200 plan. But on the
Yeah.
$200 plan, like I rarely have usage limits. Like it's very rare that I ever get like stopped from my
In
job on this
contrast, on
plan.
the $20 plan, I only have usage limits.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to do anything serious with AI, you probably don't want to be on the $20 Claude plan. You want to
Yeah.
be on the $100 minimum. Um,
You can get
Now we
by
had
with
a
ChatGPT's $20 plan a little longer. Like
yeah,
their rate limits are higher. They've kind of strategically bought a lot of
they've raised
computer.
more money.
They've
Frankly,
raised
they've
more
raised a
money.
lot more money, so they
Yeah.
can burn it more.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
I hit them less there. Well, actually, I rarely hit them, but this month is hard to judge on because it was double rate limit month, and they've been resetting them every like third day.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, one thing I just did real quick. I turned this off, so it's gonna pause. But what'll happen is if you have a scheduled automation, it will still show up here, and it'll just say skipped. So, for
cool.
example,
If one's
yeah,
missed or something, or
yeah. So I paused it. You probably don't want to delete it if you're gonna use it again. I would just turn off repeats,
yeah,
and then you can just keep
that
that.
makes sense.
Somebody
We had
asked in the
one fun
chat.
question here too.
Yeah, I think you're gonna flag the same thing I was gonna flag. Go ahead.
Do you prefer Claude Code or Codex?
I mean, wouldn't you say we would answer differently?
Yeah, we would absolutely. I say we'd answer differently. I don't believe that either one of us dislikes either of them. Like,
No, I actually
I
really
lean
like this app.
Codex,
Yeah.
but I use Claude Code as well. Uh, and if I had to guess, Grant's the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, so this brings us to part two of the guide, and I'll pull that up. And part two, which we schedule down. So this is kind of everything we've talked about. The only thing we didn't talk about was like building an agent. There's different ways you can, if you want to get into coding and engineering, you can do that.
Ooh.
But I think for absolute beginners, like working with Codex or Claude Cowork is like the two easiest ways to create custom agents for yourself. So I'd probably go with that.
Mhm.
Now we did another stream about using agents inside of Copilot. So some people who were on here were wondering like, well, what do you do if you can only use Copilot? And Copilot has what's called Copilot Studio, and that's where you do a lot of the more complicated agent building
Yeah,
stuff. And so you should check out that
I think it
stream.
was renamed to Copilot Agents. I could be
Oh,
wrong.
did they rename it?
Maybe I can't remember. I could be
Okay.
wrong. We'll figure that out, and we'll
If you
share
could
that.
drop a link to that at some point, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find that. Now we got a couple important questions that I think are
Yeah,
really good wrap ups.
let's do it.
Um, nice things. Claude Cowork is only available on Mac, not on Windows. No, well,
No,
Claude
that's
Cowork
not
is
true.
available on Windows now.
Yeah.
As of a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yep.
hadn't been long, maybe a month.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, wild
Next
thing.
question: if you can only afford $20 a month, what do you
Yeah.
recommend for the best quality value? Claude, Gemini, or ChatGPT?
Oh, without question, Corey, you answer.
Yeah, it's ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You're going to get the most bang for your buck out of ChatGPT. A thing ChatGPT has done really well that, in my opinion, the others have not, is ensure that good quality stuff is accessible to about anyone. That's like a core part of their mission, and they've really kind of stuck to that. Like even the free version. The free version is very much it's weaker. It doesn't have all the things, but it is there. You can use it for no money. And that means that even without money, you have access to some level of artificial intelligence tool, and I think
Yeah.
that's really important. But their $20 plan is a great plan.
Yeah.
You really get a lot. Like you get nearly all of the tools. I I never hit rate limits in my daily ChatGPT use. And
And look at all
if
these
you're
other
new
things
to
you
it, I
can.
promise you,
Yeah.
you're not going to use it more than me in the short term future.
Yeah, so if Corey hasn't gotten rate limited on it, you probably won't either.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say like with the $20 plan, if you really want to do these like automations and really speed up your work that you're trying to do, use the Codex app. Don't be intimidated by it. I know we've done a
Yeah.
lot of streams recently where we're talking about like everyone can code now. Don't even worry about the code. Like just
Yeah.
worry about they've got this nice project folder set up. You can create custom automations. You can do plugins, which is what connectors earlier.
You
So
just go in and
you know,
tell it how you want to use it and have it walk you through it.
yeah, and you
You
can
could
use skills
literally
in
do
here.
that.
Yeah, so I think it's and they know that this is a better app than ChatGPT, and they're trying to combine ChatGPT and their browser atlas and Codex into one app.
Yeah.
So in a couple weeks, maybe there won't even be one single app.
Yeah.
Or sorry, maybe there won't even be a difference between Codex and ChatGPT. I don't know how they're going to do it,
Yeah. I don't think
but
there will
yeah.
be pretty soon. I think it'll work a lot like the way that Claude's does.
I see a couple other questions. Maybe what we're about to run through, we'll cover these. But if not, we'll cover them at the end. So here's part two. So step one, pick your daily driver. We've kind of talked about this a little bit. We recommend, based on everything we've showed you here today, either doing ChatGPT or Codex or Claude, right? So test both of them. If money is no object, test both of them. See which one you prefer. If you're cash constrained, just stick with GPT. But
Yeah.
then once you've selected those two, pick your platform. So for us, the Claude desktop app, that's what we've been showing a lot today. If
Hmm.
you're using Claude, if you're using OpenAI, use the Codex app because it's really great for everything that we just did and can do
It
everything
is.
that we just did
And
comparably.
has features you're not going to get to in the web UI, in the
Yeah,
website.
yeah, and someone said, Leno, like they'd rather use Claude ethics wise. Like that's been a topic lately. Just be careful with the $20 tier because you could run out of usage pretty quickly because Claude is they've been struggling with staying up because they've gotten so popular lately. So you just gotta keep in mind of that. If your work relies on it, I'd probably try and get your work to pay for the $100 tier if they're open to it because like
Yeah.
it's just you don't want to be on deadline have like 5 minutes before you need to turn something in and then it's like your usage is up for today.
It halted mid coding task on
Yeah,
me. It's those rate limits have burned me a few times, and
yeah,
I've just reached the point where what I care about more than anything is I care that it works when I need to work, and you know uh, the models are relatively indifferent,
now if
and
you do
they're both
like
great.
Gemini,
Oh
if
yeah,
you
go
do
ahead.
like Gemini or Grok better, we just don't find the platforms are as easy to use as what we just showed you today. But they're both perfectly fine. Like we showed you,
Yeah,
like you can use gems. You can schedule gems with Opal, which we haven't shown you yet, but we can pull that up in a minute. Um,
you're
and
not even going
Grok,
to
I
notice
don't.
a big quality difference.
Yeah, I mean, someone asked earlier about where Gemini lands. It's technically on par intelligence wise with these two that we
Yeah,
showed. It's just I think the app they just need to retool that app. It's just not what it needs
yeah,
to be.
yeah. Same.
And they have a big conference in a couple weeks that Corey's going to go to, so
Yeah.
probably they'll announce something there to
Yeah,
fix
something
it.
will come out of that. I'll be at Google Cloud next. I know I'm meeting with their head of startups, and I'm not sure who else yet. But we'll have whatever's coming. We'll have it to you as fast as we know it.
Yeah, Corey, you feel free to quibble with any of this because I wrote this. You didn't give your seal of approval here, but here's our current ranking of which of the major apps is best for what, right? So ChatGPT basic app is good for one-off web searches and image generation. It's
I
just
would do
like
image gen and intensive research or strategy.
intensive research and strategy. Okay, that's fair.
I've
Yeah,
done a lot of really in depth like go away for 40 minutes
yeah.
while it does research stuff and come back and been pretty floored. It's also really good at math apparently because it's dropped 15, I think it is now. I went and updated. I have a story that keeps a running log of all of the unsolved mathematics problems that have been solved, and most of those have been five GPT 5.2 or GPT 5.4, and it's
Yeah.
getting large. There were three more this week already,
Yeah.
that are confirmed. And yeah, I updated that. I think I'm tracking 18 total now, 12 of which are full solves, a couple of which are like credible or like good contributions to mathematics, but maybe it turns out that some of that was already solved and they didn't know. And
Yeah.
a number that are also specifically credible but not verified, like ones that are there's good chance this might turn out to be true and we're watching it.
I know
Uh,
Gemini's ultra version, which is like their $200 or $300 plan. It's really intelligent as well. But
yeah,
I haven't seen as many like Gemini has solved like this XYZ like
no.
unsolved math problem. So if
Those
they
have
are
been
solving
pretty
it, they need
specifically the
yeah,
GPT-5 Pro models.
yeah,
Uh,
and yeah.
is it Alpha Evolve? I think Alpha Evolve's got one.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
I think I know that there are a couple that have passed through Aristotle, which is owned by Harmonic. We're gonna probably have an interview with them at some point in the near future. Karina Hong at Axiom Math has contributed to some, but it's happening there. It's happening in sciences. It's happening in anytime anybody tells you, well, it can't solve unsolved problems, they're just unequivocally wrong now. It's absolutely a thing that's happening, and
there
it's
was a really
picking
good
up pace.
interview with Terrence Tao where he was talking about this, where
Yes.
he basically said like right now, like imagine like the unknown, right? When we're trying to solve unsolved problems, it's sort of like we're hiking in the dark, and there's all these different cliffs that we're trying to climb, and some of them are small, and some of them are really tall, and we don't know the difference because we're hiking in the dark.
Yeah.
And the AI is kind of like a jumping machine, and the jumping machine can sometimes get to the small cliffs, but we just don't know how tall the cliffs are, and so it's we don't know. And the jumping machine has like a limit, like it can only jump so far, so far. But
Yeah.
eventually,
But
it
it's
could
going to
get to
jump
that
better
point.
over time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, let me run through these real quick.
Excellent. Yeah.
So Gemini is best for accessing YouTube links. It can watch and summarize full videos, something no other model can do because obviously Google owns YouTube. Creating images, we showed
Actually,
you. Go ahead.
not anymore.
What do you
I
mean
mean,
by
Google still
that?
owns YouTube. Wait, no. ChatGPT will analyze video, but I don't think it can do the YouTube link.
If you need your AI to understand a YouTube video, you have to use Gemini. Like you just
Yeah.
have to use yeah. And that's the same for Grok, which I can cover right now. If you wanted to read anything that like people are writing on X, just send Grok there. Like that's really the best thing that it's for is just reading those links.
Yeah.
And on the free account, it can read about 20 links per chat, about 8 chats. So you can read about 160 links a day with Grok. For free.
Is that
So
if you're on a free X plan?
that's free. Yeah, you
Okay.
don't have to pay Elon if you don't want to. So then accessing YouTube, creating images. We showed you earlier Gemini. With our header image, we did that by giving it sample images that we really liked and trained it with a gem. It's using a model called Nano Banana, and then building automations with Opal, which if people still hang out after a couple of minutes, we can show that. And also deep research. It started deep research as Logan Kilpatrick told us.
Yeah.
I find that sometimes the output from the other models is better,
Mhm.
but it gives you a lot of links because it's using Google search. So the link
Yeah.
quality is good. The report text itself is slop or can be sloppy. Uh,
Yeah.
so use it for the sources and then rewrite it if you need it.
Yep.
And then Claude is really good for deep research for niche links. This is because Claude hasn't signed all the same deals that OpenAI and Gemini have. And so it can't read as many websites. But if you need like a really niche topic, deep research is really, really good for that because it can pull diamonds in the rough websites. Working with files on your computer via CoWork, scheduling recurring automations, and writing. I said this. I think Claude is the strongest writer of the bunch, though Corey would disagree.
Corey disagrees. Corey would say Claude used to be the strongest writer, but
Yeah,
hasn't been since 3.5.
yeah, that's fair.
Uh, it's a good writer. I don't mean it's not a good writer. I just mean it's verbose. It talks a lot. Everything it does is really long.
That's fair. Yeah. Claude's skill system, I said, was the most mature. Although we showed you today with Codex, you can basically do the same thing with skills. So I think ChatGPT will quickly catch up there with the main
Yeah.
app. So just hang out a couple weeks if that's your daily driver. Um, and then yeah, Codex does pretty much the exact same thing with scheduled automations. I think it's better at organizing your coding work, like with the
That's fair.
project format. Like Claude Code does not have that.
The thing I keep hearing is
I guess it
is
does have
is
projects,
use
but
Codex if you want it right and you're not rushing. If you're willing to wait a little longer on it. Supposedly it's pretty spot on, and from everything I built with it, it seems really great.
yeah,
Uh, where Claude will move a little faster. It might, I'm told, might break some things along the way,
right.
but like that's why I always say like my recommendation is always if you are an engineer and you're starting Claude Code. If you're not an engineer and you want to learn building software with AI, I would start with Codex.
Yeah,
The idea being it's
I
probably a
think that's
little
right.
safer for a beginner.
Yeah. Now, we also listed on this blog post, we're not going to go through these today, but a list of professional services. We'll
Yeah.
update this on a rolling basis, but like if you need AI for a very specific thing, these are all of the best services that we've found for those things. There's more on here that we haven't covered. So like I said, we need to update this, but these were all the ones I could think
Yeah,
of
and you can
off
go
the
check
top of
out
my
the
head.
article.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I'll share the
uh,
link again.
yeah, we'll drop the link in there. Make sure everybody's got it.
So if like let's say
Um,
you don't want to try to set up skills and projects for a specific thing, you just
yeah,
want AI for language learning, for example, right? Like
yeah,
Speak. That we talk to them, we recommend this, it's great. For
yeah.
organizing your work, Corey mentioned Notion.
I use Notion.
Notion, yeah,
Notion
Notion's
works
great for
really well
this.
with AI.
Yeah.
It communicates really well. It can be really simple and clear. I'm a big fan of it.
Obsidian is a good
Couple.
one for local file management as an alternative. Go ahead.
Cool, cool. I was just gonna say a couple of things we wanted to make sure and mention today. Number one, if you are here, oh, never mind. I don't want to get into that one. Let's say this. Uh, if you're here and you run a business, you'd love to advertise with the Neuron, we'd obviously love to have you. Please contact Mindy Metz on our team. She's got some crazy deals going all the time, both for the podcast, for the newsletter, for the website, for all of the things we do. She can absolutely hook you up. Also, if you haven't yet, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video. It really helps us a lot, helps ensure YouTube's pushing us out there and people are actually watching when we come do these things. So we're
Yeah.
really, really, really grateful to every one of you who showed up today. It
Yeah.
means a lot. It was the numbers got high enough that Grant and I were both like, "Oh wow!"
Yeah, it
that
was
all the
kind of
people.
shocking actually, because we've
It
had a
was,
couple streams lately that have been like not as high as this, so
yeah.
it was amazing. Like, oh, okay, there's a demand for beginner content. Good to
Yeah.
know.
And that's really good to know. And
Yeah,
we'll have some cool stuff to share in the nearest future on beginner stuff as well that I
yeah,
think a lot of you will really love, but it's not ready for showtime yet. And yeah, pop by, check out the newsletter and everything else. The Neuron.ai. We'd love to have you as a reader and a member of the community. We're carefully trying to build out here. Um, but I think that's it for today. Is that it for today, Grant?
yeah. I'll just kind of cover one last thing here, which is you might have heard of OpenClaw. This is not for beginners, but if you do want an AI that's sort of like the operating system for your whole life, this is a whole other can of worms to check out. But definitely try to use like the Codex and Claude first, like before you
Yeah.
get into this stuff,
Yeah, that stuff there
because
is it's another step down the ladder. And we've
it's
done
another
some
step
videos
down the
on it. We
ladder.
can do
That's more
another one
like
someday.
level five.
Yeah.
And then there's also tools to run your own AI on your computer. We've done many streams about this, but you can check
Yeah.
those out all on the
Yeah.
article. I don't really
Absolutely.
know where my Riverside is anymore. Oh, okay, over here. Let's stop streaming my screen. Uh, did we do the whole run of show? Did we cover everything?
I think we covered everything. I mean, maybe not as perfect in an order as we'd like, and a little bit of it was Was a 15-minute speed round there, but that's okay. I think we got it.
Oh, we didn't cover Opal. Can I just show this real fast before we close out?
You sure can if you want.
Yeah, I can. I do want to, because I mentioned it and
There
I
will be
completely.
other streams though. It's important to remember that. And don't forget to reach out to us if you have things that you're like, I don't get this. I don't think other people get it. If that's the case, we want to know about it because we're always glad to either come teach it or go learn and then teach it. And come out and share with you guys the best we can what we find and what we learn.
All right, so I'm just going to show this real fast for folks who are like me and want to close the loop. So, but if you're not using Gemini, you can peace out. This is not relevant for you. But if you do use Gemini, then this would be helpful. All right, so let me go ahead and share. So one of the cool things about Gemini Gems is that you can connect them to Opal, and Opal is like a little agent manager tool that Gemini has created. And so we actually had a whole video going into this, which we'll plug with the article that goes along with this, but I'll actually look it up YouTube. Neuron, Google Labs. Yeah. See, yeah, so I'm gonna paste this in the chat here.
Cool, cool.
Um,
How
okay,
many
so that's
windows
the
you got,
video.
Grant?
Too many. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong freaking side. That's why. Whoops. Okay. So this is Opal. So
There
what I
we
did is I
go.
went to Google, opal.google.com, and then I connected it with my Google account. And as you can see here, what you can do is you can describe what you want to build, and it will create a workflow for you. So, for example, I could say, help me create an automation I can schedule to review my YouTube videos every day, which, is something that people could need help with. And Gemini is a good use case for that. So Opal will, their agent will start putting together a workflow for me. But what you could do is you could also connect this to your gem. So if you have a gem that you've created, like let's say we've created the header image gem, you could create a scheduled automation that says like, hey, every day at 5 p.m., run the header image creator on the article draft in this Google folder. And it would then you could set it up in a way that would do that for you.
Yep.
Okay, so click to try this Opal. Sure, let's start it. Enter the URL of your YouTube channel. We'll do a shameless plug here. The Neuron.ai. Oh wait, the Neuron YouTube.
That's the website.
Yep. Wrong one. There we go.
The
Okay.
channel is it the Neuron AI? Neuron AI? Why
So
do I
I put
not?
it through here. And I don't even really know what it's doing. What I would do is I would actually review this and see is this even what I want. Each of these little cards. And if you want to know what all of these cards mean, you should watch the YouTube video we just shared in the chat,
Yeah.
where we actually talked to Megan Lee, who's the product manager of Opal, and she walks us through the whole thing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Specify the criteria of the video for review. What channels or what's the latest video on this channel? Okay, so now it's taking my criteria, it's taking the YouTube link, it's searching the Neuron AI YouTube channel. Let's see what it comes up with.
Awesome. Hey, thank you to everybody who's saying thanks and heading out in the chat. Really appreciate everyone who's joined us today. It's been a lot of fun. Is there a free version of this, Grant?
This is free.
Except the
Yeah.
models in it aren't, right?
You know what? I don't know actually if you have to have a workspace
Or your
account.
own APIs.
Yeah, but I think there's a certain number of API calls you get per day. And what that just means is that's how many times you can ask the AI questions. So when you're on a subscription or a free account, they give you a certain number of limits.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is through our company account. So I assume that we have
Yeah.
higher limits than the average person. But as long as you have a Google account, I think you can use this.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
it's generating a whole report for me. That's interesting. You can also look
That
in
could
here.
be a while. Yeah.
You can see what the agent's doing. Now it's at the point where it's generating the report.
Nice.
You can change the theme, I guess, which is cool. Yeah. It's generating HTML. That's interesting. I don't know why. Oh, it says render the review report content along with the YouTube channel and review criteria into a well-formatted HTML web page. Cool. There's a
Nice.
lot. There's a lot you can do with this tool. Honestly, they need to somehow bake this functionality into the regular Google app,
There you go.
so that it works as easily. But yeah, this is a daily YouTube review. Channel Neuron continues to solidify its position as a premier destination for high frequency AI news updates.
Hey, hey, hey.
The most recent video titled "OpenAI's new model is here and it's incredible." I don't think
That is,
that is slop. That is
I don't
not
think we've
accurate.
ever made a video called that.
Yeah,
Unless
that's
there's
slop.
maybe there's a short from the social team we don't know about.
Oh,
It is,
maybe.
maybe,
Let's
maybe.
see.
I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Gemini.
Shorts?
Nope.
No. No, you completely made that up. See,
It
this is
just
what
made
we
it up.
mean by it being. And to be fair, we didn't give it the best instructions, so let's give it the.
This is why I'm so leery of Gemini models that are attached to products.
Yeah, because we don't know what model this is running under the hood. I don't
Yeah.
know if we can change the output. But you can prompt it away. But it's just like this is a lot of extra steps you have to do versus like Codex and Claude are a little bit more sophisticated in terms of the harness that's controlling it,
Yeah.
and it just kind of does it for you.
Yeah.
So that's why we recommend those as our daily driver. But there's a ton of functionality here if you're willing to like get in here, and mess around with it and get it to the point where you're really happy with it.
By the way, if you're
So
checking
yeah.
out cool tools that maybe we don't know about, we would love to hear about them because we we're always looking for the next great thing and tinkering with new things and new models and new platforms and new agents and
Yeah.
so if you know anything we may not, shoot us an email anytime. We'd love to hear from you. We need to get an email account that is specifically for reader communication.
Yeah.
We don't have that, but that's something we need to set up right away, I think, because it's as it is, it comes in through a mighty busy account, and it's easy to overlook them. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's it for today. Please like and subscribe. Call Mindy if you are interested in advertising on our show, podcast, newsletter, any of the things. I hope you
If you
loved
like
this.
robots, check out the robot newsletter.
Yeah, there's a robot
Couple
newsletter
more,
coming, and more news
more
you
plugs
still
there.
want to stay tuned for. Not gonna go there yet, but trust me, it's cool. And on that note, thanks. We really appreciate everybody who hung in there. I can't believe this many people hung in here from 2.5 hours.
Respect.
Mad respect and really, really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, and we will do this again soon. We will not have a Thursday live next week, by the way. We might have a random evening live. There's a good chance I'll be live on Monday morning, though, for a new show we're starting called AI News and whatever. AI News Rumors, and we're going to change this last half of it to be goofy every time. So we'd love to have you.
I'm gonna plug one more link as well, Corey. If you
Plug
have
it.
questions that we didn't answer, fill it out here.
Oh, good call. Did you make a form?
This form is the one that we have. Let me just remove the parameters from it. Okay, let me make sure this works. Yeah, so this is our skill of the day request form. So this is where we take user requests for our AI skill of the day section for the newsletter.
Yes.
So if you have a specific thing you want to learn, like fill that out. And like I said at the beginning, if we don't cover it, tomorrow, we'll try to make sure that we cover those all by the end of the month and put them in a
Yeah.
digest for you.
Yeah, there's always a day we're slow and need something quick. So if you send
Yeah.
something, you bet it's not going to go to waste.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you back here next time. Farewell,
Ta-ta.
humans. Oops, now I got to look around to go hit the stop button.